The tough ticket in Kentucky this weekend is the one for tonight's matchup of cross-state rivals. After a 2-year hiatus, the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky have returned to the Hilltop, resuming the rivalry with Western Kentucky. This year, Western takes the field as defending national champions. In a season that started with 3 losses in the first 5 games, the fan support was steadfast. Head coach Jack Harbaugh turned the poor start into a championship run of 10 consecutive victories. In the title game, the Hilltoppers fashioned a decisive 34-14 win over #1 ranked McNeese State. So the trophy and the 2002 championship will reside forever in Bowling Green, Kentucky. This is about as good as 1AA football, and the battle of the bluegrass gets between these two schools. Western Kentucky, the defending national champs of 1AA, and Eastern Kentucky, the winningest program in all of 1AA. They meet for the 80th time. However, the last 2 years, this rivalry game has not been played, so just about everybody is ready to roll in this one. Carter Blackburn with Glenn Parker on CSTV's Football Saturday. 2 storied rivals, but 2 very different styles between these 2 teams.
Well, that's right. Western Kentucky is going to come out and run the ball, and they're going to feature Chris Miller in a power attack. And they really like to run the ball hard at people, and then they'll change up with a little option, a little play-action pass. On the other side of the ball, there's Eastern Kentucky, the Colonels. They're going to Matt Geis. That kid can throw, he can run, and he's a smart quarterback. He'll roll out well, and then he'll throw, and he'll always seem to make a smart decision. They'll feature Geis.
And yet Geis has been banged up. He hasn't finished the first 3 games of the year for Eastern Kentucky, so you might start thinking about his backup, Adam Ellis.
Adam Ellis can come in, the transfer from Air Force. He's proven himself in the last few games that he can get out there and he can do a good job. So they have to have confidence in Adam Ellis if he's going to have to be out there and have to play.
All right, 2 very different styles for these teams offensively. How do you think the defense is countered?
Well, I think Eastern Kentucky's got to stop the run. They're going to put a lot of guys up in the box. They're going to get everything they can to stop the power eye and the option and say, go ahead and beat us on the pass. On the other side of that, Western Kentucky is going to come out and they're going to hit the quarterback and hit the quarterback and hit the quarterback. They're going to try to put Matt Geis on his back so he can't throw the ball.
Eastern Kentucky 1-2 so far this season, but those 2 losses are to 1A programs. CSTV Football Saturday showed you their win over 11th-ranked Appalachian State. And Eastern Kentucky has made the trip over looking for a win against their rivals, the national champion Hilltoppers from Western Kentucky. Danny Hope, in his first season as coach of EKU, has led them through 3 tough games. They will have a 4th tough test today.
They are.
After a long off-season, the defending national champs take the field with a 2-0 record, but for the first time, they will face an opponent from 1AA. Their rivals, the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. We saw Western Kentucky's Chris Miller. Now let's see CSTV's Chris Miller on the sideline.
Thanks a lot. We're here with Coach Danny Hope. Coach, all week the talks have been centered around your starting quarterback, Matt Geis. What is his availability for tonight's game?
He'll take the first snap and he'll score a bunch of touchdowns for us.
That's all we need to know. Good luck tonight.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Guys, back upstairs.
An 89-year-old rivalry, although 2 new head coaches kick off in the Battle of the Bluegrass between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky, coming up on CSTV's Football Saturday. A rivalry that began in 1914 is renewed once again tonight for the 80th time at Smith Stadium in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The Battle of the Bluegrass. It was hazy and it was cool yesterday, but we have an absolutely wonderful day. The fans in Bowling Green have certainly enjoyed it, tailgating since noon today. Rooting for their new head coach here in Western Kentucky, David Elson, and he is the second youngest head coach in all of Division I football. Takes over, and he takes over a national championship team. Danny Hope won a national title while he was an offensive lineman at Eastern Kentucky. 2 titles overall for the Colonels. He is in his first season as head coach after being an assistant at places like Louisville and Purdue. He's brought his wide open style of offense with him here to Eastern Kentucky. Stephen Swan, the freshman, will boot it away for EKU. Rooney and Veals back to return it for Western. It will be Casey Rooney taking it from the goal line. And a pretty good return out to the 30, where Western Kentucky will get the football on 1st down and 10. And Glenn, you can see that this team is ready to go. And this guy certainly is. Justin Haddix, a freshman from Jackson, Kentucky. He was recruited by Eastern, and many thought that he would go to Eastern Kentucky. But he chose to play for Western. Some perhaps hard feelings between the two schools. Justin Haddix didn't visit with the media this week in an effort to try to avoid that, but a true freshman starting quarterback for the defending 1AA national champs. Most of the time he will be handing the football off and pitching on the option. 1st down and 10. First play of the game. Play action. Haddix looking long. Down the sideline and too long for Casey Rooney. A converted quarterback whom Haddix beat out for the starting job.
Right off the bat, Tremaine Perkins does such a good job of staying in and staying home. He doesn't jump on a run. He knows what his job is.
Big offensive line up front, including Buster Ashley, who's a second-team All-American. A lot of size for the Hilltoppers as they run the football. Chris Miller will see most of the handoffs, 2 touchdowns and 28 carries so far on the season and nearly 300 yards. And a handoff to Miller picks up just a couple of yards on 2nd down. So 3rd and long coming up already for Western Kentucky. The defense from the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. Elias Israel, who may be the biggest surprise on this defensive line, says the defensive coordinator Jim Tadera, but he has been great so far this year. Justin Rivers, 1st-team All-Conference, and a couple of good cornerbacks. Tremaine Perkins, chief among them, although he is also a special team specialist. He's returned 2 kicks for touchdowns already this year.
Well, the Hilltoppers came right out and threw, and you knew they thought they were probably going to surprise him. It's got to hurt you when a guy stays on you that tight.
3rd and 9 officially for Western Kentucky. Haddix, his 2nd passing attempt, again looking long and nearly picked. Over the middle, Pierre Wright nearly got to that football, the free safety for Eastern Kentucky.
Well, they were bracketing him deep, and this ball just got away from the quarterback Haddix here. He just lofted it a little too much. You got to be careful throwing over that middle. Too deep, and you got to pick too short, and you kill your receiver.
Western, a running team, throws twice, and they go 3 and out.
Not what we expected for certain, and I would imagine we'll see a change in that right away.
Tremaine Perkins, who had a kickoff return for a touchdown as a kickoff returner against Appalachian State, is back to return this punt. But first, a timeout. So just 1:05 in, and the Eastern Kentucky defense has already proved their mettle so far against Western by forcing him to go 3 and out. Dave Elson, the 1st-year head coach of Western Kentucky, and he takes over a program that is clearly on the rise. In 1992, this program was almost disbanded by the school, but under Jack Harbaugh, they won a national title, and now he takes over a great program.
He does, and one thing we have to remember, just to start this game, that Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, this is their first real test. This is a chance to prove their mettle. Eastern Kentucky has already played 2 Division I opponents, and was really in a game once with them, and really should have beat Central Michigan. And they've been in the tough times already, so the Hilltoppers have to prove themselves here.
Last weekend against Central Michigan, over 600 yards of offense for Eastern Kentucky, and yet they blew a lead and lost 42-41. Blew a 27-7 second half lead at Eastern Kentucky. Western will boot it away, and what a kick it is. Evans back to return it. He makes the grab at the 15 and a chance to slip some tacklers. Evans down the sideline. Finally brought down at the 44.
Well, a fantastic return, number one, because he gets positive yards. That's all you care about on a punt return is positive yards. Can he get upfield? And next, now, he's going to use the sideline to keep himself, and he's got a wall set, and that's why he's getting straight up north. Guys lose yardage by going side to side. The fact that he went north gets himself some yards. You love that, and what it does is you've got a change of possession and field position battle already won on one play. Special teams.
Said Evans, that was Tremaine Perkins on the return, and now it's Matt Geis, the quarterback under center for the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky on 1st down and 10. C.J. Hudson gets the handoff and gets back to the line of scrimmage against the Western defense.
Well, right away we see a lot of speed on the Western Kentucky defense.
Matt Geis completing 75% of his passes, but Western has made no secret that they will try to hit him and hit him hard. He was knocked out of the Central Michigan game and was questionable with a slight concussion for today's ball game, but he is under center on the first series for EKU. In the flat, that is a live ball, and that is a Western Kentucky fumble. It was behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's not just behind the line of scrimmage. They're ruling that it actually went backwards. The pass went backwards. And that's why then it becomes a lateral. A live ball doesn't matter if it's fumbled or hit or anything. At that point, it's a lateral. It's the same as running the option at that point.
C.J. Hudson in the backfield, who bobbles this one and fumbles it.
And it clearly was thrown behind him. He was throwing from the 40, and the ball hit the receiver at the 41, so clearly went backwards. Therefore, it was a lateral. Good call by the officials.
Charles Thompson makes that fumble recovery. Haddix, the freshman quarterback, drilled on the 1st down bootleg.
This is how you stop that option. Rivers comes up, and he nails the quarterback. When you're going to run that option, you make the quarterback pay, because he's the guy that's got to touch the ball every down, and he's the guy that's got to make the pass if the time comes. You go up there and you blast him, and that's what Rivers just did.
Second down for a Western offense that hasn't moved the football on its first couple of drives. 2nd down and 10. Haddix into the shotgun. He sees pressure coming from Eastern Kentucky. Hands it off up the middle. Chris Miller with positive yardage inside the 30.
Well, the Hilltoppers are getting right back to what they really want to do, and that's run the ball downhill. And you hear that a lot. What's it mean? Hey, they're gonna pull a guard, one of their big guards. Either way, it's gonna be Washington or Oakley. They're gonna pull that guy and get him out running and smack some guy, and that'll open up a big lane because you'll have down blocks with a guy pulling. And it's not always just, hey, we're gonna put a body on a body. Sometimes a little trickery involved, and that's getting one of these big 320-pounders like Washington out there blowing some small guy up.
We're going to show you a lot of numbers that look very impressive for Western Kentucky, but bear in mind that the first 2 weeks they played an NAIA school and a Division II school. This is their first 1AA competition, so that would count as their first down against 1AA competition. Chris Miller on the handoff.
Now, right before the game, I talked to a scout, a friend of mine, and he says, you got to watch Joe Washington the way he pulls. This is why you love it if you're a running back. Big 320-pounder. Boom, you do not want to be Brandon Smith out there getting whacked. Poor guy saw a lot of flesh coming at him.
Yeah, no reason they call him Big Joe Washington around here. It's Chris Miller who takes it down into the red zone now for Western Kentucky, and they're starting to run the football the way they like to around here. Chris Miller said he was so nervous the only other time he's played Eastern Kentucky his freshman year that he, shall we say, got ill before the opening kickoff.
Well, that's a good thing. Nerves for a game. Get the butterflies out.
Well, I hope he's not getting ill right there. He's given his team a chance, though. Handoff goes to LaRon Moore around the right side, the quicker of the two tailbacks, and LaRon gets to the 5 and another first down.
you know, the size of this offensive line, but also their agility. They're down blocking a lot, which is creating creases. So when you down block and you pull, you create good creases. You're going to see it here. The whole left side of that line blocks down. You see just a huge gap open. And when you block down and get a pull, that's the reason you do that against small, fast defensive lines. Natural lanes kind of open up for you.
Running behind Joe Washington on that right side again. No signal yet. And Moore is stopped just shy of the goal line.
You know, we talk about Chris Miller and what a great back he is, but Ron Moore, you know, the coaches say, well, we like to use him as an option guy, and he's got some good speed, but he probably is going to win this job. You know, they talk, sometimes he could be the guy that wins the job instead of Chris Miller. They're so even, they don't know who to go with.
Both very talented backs. Miller's a senior, LaRon Moore is a sophomore, but he didn't play last year, sat out as a redshirt.
Yeah, they say it's his job next year.
This is second down and goal for Western Kentucky on their second drive, and that is close to a touchdown, but not quite. LaRon Moore stopped just short for the second time, so Eastern is holding its ground.
Well, Eastern's using its size to get up and underneath that big offensive line. And I'll tell you, that's a great pursuit play. And one of the things that happens on the goal line when you get pushed back, you got to have that pursuit on the backside to cut an angle. And he did a great job there.
One wide out for Western Kentucky on third down and goal from the 1. The freshman quarterback Haddix will take it himself, and he will score. Touchdown, Western Kentucky, and the Hilltoppers are on top.
Well, that was just an old-fashioned power. Let's smash it down their throat. They came out the first series, tried to get a little tricky, not the kind of thing they want.
Lang puts the extra point through to make it 7-0. On a 34-yard drive, Western Kentucky scores on the first rushing touchdown of Justin Haddix's career. 7-0 Hilltoppers. The 80th meeting between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky, the Battle of the Bluegrass, and Western Kentucky takes a lead on a pretty impressive scoring drive. Glenn, after they came out passing, they stick to the ground and they get in the end zone.
Well, they do what they're supposed to, what their offense is based on, and that's power run, get the big guys running, get the guys moving, and the fact is, you know, when you get a big turnover and you get field position on your side, you know, they lost field position on the punt return but got it right back on the turnover. It's the tale of the game so far.
Eastern Kentucky that had those over 600 yards will get the ball for the second time, but it was 2 and out for them after a fumble on that last drive. 5th lost fumble of the year for Eastern Kentucky, leading to that touchdown.
I think they got a little tricky, trying to do a few things to keep people off balance right at the start of the game and see how teams react. Unfortunately, that's not designed to throw it behind him, but he did it anyways, and that'll hurt you.
Brian Claiborne will kick it away for Western Kentucky. Andre Ralston takes it in the end zone for Eastern, and he'll take a knee in the end zone. Every weekday at 4 at CSTV Retrovision, hosted by Billy Baldwin. This Monday, college wrestling, notable 90s. And Monday through Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, it's Coast to Coach. Get the inside scoop as coaches from around the country rehash their weekend's game and preview upcoming matchups. CSTV Retrovision every weekday at 4, and Coast to Coach Monday through Wednesdays on CSTV, the new home of college sports.
So you picked up a new set of lips today? Is that a little problem there?
Matt Geis, hands off, and Ennis gets drilled. So the offensive line that let the Hilltoppers through, led by center Larry Turner, one of the best in 1AA. He was preseason second-team All-America by the Sports Network, the definitive list of All-Americans at this level. And then the backs, Terry Ennis, who was popped on that one, and a good core of wide receivers, Ralston, Barrett, and Evans, will see the football thrown around quite a bit. Turner from Ohio, but he's been indoctrinated into this rivalry. Second time that the seniors have played in this rivalry. Geis slips away from the sack, but that's what Western said they would do. The Western defense, it pressures Geis on that one, led by Chad Kincaid. It's a 3-4 defense, so you'll see a lot of linebackers. Eric Dandy, an honorable mention, Sporting Network All-American. He missed the second half of last year with a torn ACL, and then Antonio Veals, the free safety, who is a heck of a player. A lot of folks at the next level are taking a close look at him.
I noticed as you give us the lineup, you pick somebody to tell us a little something about. And number 92, the nose tackle, you didn't jump right in there. Is there a reason?
Oh, I love Irle Odorinde.
There you go. A little tongue twister for you. I thought there was a reason you weren't going there. Obviously,
now I bet Irle is going to make a play on this next one. Although he's presently on the Western Kentucky sideline. He was in there to start. Third down here for Eastern Kentucky. Geis time to throw this time, and he finds Ralston. What a week last week for Andre Ralston. Over 200 yards receiving against Central Michigan, and he is ready to go against the Hilltoppers today.
Well, Geis has a lot of time to throw. He steps back. He's got very good protection. They don't blitz this time. They blitzed before and got the sack, and you see why you need to blitz Geis. He's a smart player. He's going to find Ralston. Ralston, as you said, 211 yards receiving last week on just 8 catches. So he's a big-time player out there, and you've got to account for Ralston.
80-yard touchdown throw and catch with the backup quarterback, Adam Ellis. Play action. But Geis will be hit again. He scrambles for a couple yards up to the 40, but for a guy that has been banged up for most of this year, you wonder how many times he can take those hits.
Well, we see our first adjustment, the first adjustment right away by Eastern Kentucky is they're going to run pass on first down and try to avoid blitzing. And of course, Western Kentucky brings the blitz. The tight end's ready for it. Sexton's coming in. Still loses himself a little and has to get out of it, but that's the first adjustment that we've seen the offense. That's what they said. Hey, they're going to blitz us. We're going to keep a tight end in. We're going to pass on first down. See how it works for them.
Second down now. Second down and 8 for Eastern Kentucky. Geis to Evans in the flat, but he's hit as soon as he catches the football. So stop short of the first down.
Not a lot of run after catch there, but and the corners for Western Kentucky, you talk to the coaches and you talk to people around the Gateway Conference, everybody's very impressed by both of them. They started every game last year in a national championship run. They're both incredible cover guys. If you're going to blitz as much as Western Kentucky likes to do, you better have guys that can cover, and they can.
Sam Sexton, that outside linebacker, has already dropped back into pass coverage and made a couple blitzes as well. And that is Charles Thompson, one of the inside linebackers coming up. to make the second big stop of the game on Ennis, trying to get that first down, and he stopped short.
Well, he's the big leader on D, and you know, if you're going as an offensive line, you can't get pushed back. And it's not even do they get pushed back, but the guys are underneath them. There's penetration. And what happens is you don't have a lead. You don't have anybody on that backer right in the middle. And a middle linebacker, that's what everybody wants to do as a middle linebacker. You're allowed to run. Big guys take all the pressure off, and you can make hits. And that's why he gets in there and gets a nice shot.
He's already made a couple of good plays. A reason why it's 7-0 Western Kentucky in Bowling Green. I guess that we're in the western part of the Commonwealth of Kentucky at Bowling Green, Western Kentucky University in the southwestern part of the Commonwealth. It's 7-0 Western Kentucky leading this ball game against their rivals, the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky University. Phil Cool will punt on 4th down. Ball snapped right around midfield. Antonio Veals, a very dangerous return man, is back to take it for Western Kentucky. But he will back up and he will make the catch at the 5. Veals wants to bring this one back. He has a chance around the left side. It's plugged up, but Veals did get to the 16.
Well, there's a common mistake from a return guy is that he takes it inside of his 10. You never receive a punt inside the 10 because the odds are it goes in the end zone, you get it out to 20. See, they only get it to the 16.
Let's check in with Chris Miller on the sideline.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. You know, coaches will tell you anytime there's a rivalry game, you have to take advantage of take care of the football. It is tantamount to success. Points off of turnovers are key. The little things count in games like this. As you can see, Western Kentucky scores their first touchdown of the game off a turnover. Oh, and guys, before I send it back to you, just want to let you know I'm not moonlighting as the running back for Western. Back upstairs.
Well, we saw the running back, Chris Miller, nearly get sick on the sideline, but he's right back in the ball game, and he gets near another first down. Now, both Chris Millers, and we won't say which one looks like an athlete, a retired hitter in the sport of baseball. We won't say which one.
Well, you know, it's going to be very tough on Eastern Kentucky if you're going to be in 2nd and 2s all night. And right now, Western Kentucky, these Hilltoppers, they're having their way. Exactly what they want to do is run the ball and run it hard on first down.
Passing out to Rooney on the right side, but stopped short of the first down. Not much room to work with.
There's a flag down, and they're gonna get Buster Ashley for an unsportsmanlike conduct late hit here. It's behind the play, and it was really unnecessary. A mistake made by a guy who's a junior who wants to be, you know, get in there and get his shots.
Casey Rooney, who has really bounced around football on that reception. He grew up in Iowa, then he went to the Air Force Academy Prep School, started his collegiate career at Memphis, and then has gone at Western Kentucky from wide receiver to quarterback, now back to wide receiver.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be the starting quarterback coming in, and then in the preseason, said, no, go back to wide receiver and work on with some other guys.
Obviously a great athlete, but they don't throw the ball much.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense. Result of the play was a first down. After half the distance to the goal, it will still be first down.
Dave Elson obviously not too pleased with the personal foul against his.
You know, if you're an offensive line coach, you love the aggressiveness of your big tackle coming around and smacking some guy. But you just got to say, listen, in a big game or any game, smarts always overrule your strength. You got to be smarter than you are being a tough guy. And, you know, you watch this, they get a good game, get a first down, boom, 15-yard penalty, and now what are they? They're actually right back. They're behind their original line of scrimmage.
First down again for Western Kentucky, though. Leading 7-0, but a long way to go here. Hand off to Miller again, trying to pick his holes through that Eastern Kentucky defense. Back out near the 20-yard line, but still well short of the first down. Chris Miller grew up in Heidelberg, Germany. He has a military background. His father, Charles, still serving in the Army, and his parents are still in Germany.
You know, I've had the pleasure of playing with a lot of guys that came through Germany and played, and you know, their dads were in the Army at one point or another. One thing that strikes me about every one of them, they're generally leaders on your team and just great human beings.
Miller's certainly the leader of this Western Kentucky offense. Senior tailback who sees the football an awful lot. Second down, blitz maybe coming from Eastern. Hilltoppers pick it up, but a drop pass over the middle by Earl Clayton.
You know, what this is, first off, it's a case of good pressure. They're going to run a twist and a stunt inside. Tough to pick up here, but you see a guy come right out on the outside on that stunt. He gets the pressure. You know, Clayton here, the ball's a little behind him, but he's got to make that grab. And that's just, I think, a product of not having a lot of looks at the ball. When you're a running team, you just don't get that many throws to you. And, you know, he jumps up. Probably didn't need to jump. Just make the grab. Be the smart play.
Western Kentucky a couple of years ago under Jack Harbaugh ran the football about 90% of the time. Obviously opening it up a little bit more with offensive coordinator T.J. Wiest. Penalty flags again on third down.
Well, he said he wanted to try to run the ball 70%. And
no flag.
He wanted to run the ball 70% and still pass it 30%. But here again, he's going to step back. He gets stepped on by his center. But that, you know what, that's a problem with the quarterback. The center's got to step. He's got to protect that gap. That's not the center's fault. That's the quarterback's fault. Get your feet out of there. You get the snap, get out. If the center had stepped backwards, then you got to blame the center. But that's not what happened. And I never blame offensive linemen.
Being one yourself.
Well, being an ex-one myself.
Claiborne gets a good one away. Fumble on the football. Penalty flag is going to be thrown. The back judge gets hit. Who gets the football?
Well, I don't know. There's so much stuff going on there. I couldn't tell. It looked like maybe a face mask, and then the flag came out and then smacked around. And
signal goes for Western. Now, remember that there is no halo rule anymore in college football, but you do have to give the return man a chance to catch it. Clearly, he did.
Yeah, good clean strip of the football. Gave him plenty of space to catch that ball. This is just another good job of hawking after that football and making big plays on special teams and getting the turnovers.
Carl Burt's cornerback in Western's defense is the one who strips that ball away from Tremaine Perkins.
You know, just does a great job. If he comes in, I think he realizes he can't make that a big hit. Does a good job of just grabbing that arm. You work hard, and good things are going to happen to you. You don't know what they are, but they're going to happen to you.
The flag was picked up. It is Western Kentucky football, and the second turnover by the Colonels of EKU.
For my guess, you're going to see Western Kentucky come out, and they're going to pound this football. They're not going to throw it anymore.
Were you surprised by as much as Western Kentucky threw it on the first couple of possessions?
Well, I have been, because the first possession, they got nothing with it. They come out, they get good field position and smash it down in the end zone. Well, what do they do? Come out again, they get a little tricky, try a few things, and it fails for them. They're a running team. Stick with your strength. You know, pass the ball if you're down. Right now they're up. Run the ball.
Haddock stepping back. Has to throw it over the defense, and a nice grab on the far sideline.
A great grab, but he threw this into a lot of traffic, and that's a dangerous throw. And it's Shannon Hayes does just a great job of getting up here and grabbing this ball, but I'm worried if I'm the coaching staff right now for the Hilltoppers, because he throws that ball into traffic, and that's dangerous. Take a look here. It's a designed option pass, play action. So they run the option, then he drops back. See Joe Washington dominating the guy there, but getting a little bit in his face. But this ball comes into between 1, 2, 3 defenders. That's tough. That'll come back to bite you.
Haddix now 2 for 5 passing. Pressure coming on first down. Roll out for Haddix on the option. He tries to cut it back and picks up a couple of yards on the first down carry. Justin Haddix, who is the runner-up for the Mr. Football Award in Kentucky, so he drew a lot of interest from both of these 1AA programs in Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky, and you know that this is a rivalry game for him, even as a freshman.
Oh yeah, he's thinking maybe something was about one program or the other he didn't like, so he came to this one, and he wants to show him, hey, I did the right thing.
2nd and 5, handoff goes nowhere, so perhaps another passing situation here on 3rd down upcoming for Western Kentucky, the 3rd-ranked team in 1AA and the defending 1AA champs. Third down and 3, Glenn, a team that's known for pounding it. You think they run it behind Big Joe Washington on that left side, try to pick up the first down?
Oh, I think, yeah, they're going to use their guards. They're going to pull one or maybe both. They might. I don't see him running a sweep. I see him running some sort of trap. That's me. That's the type of guy I am. I'm going to run a trap or a straight lead ISO dive with the fullback into the guard gap. I mean, that's where you get your 3 yards.
Offset eye backfield. Miller takes the handoff and gets the first down. Run it over the right side, inside the 15.
Yeah, Maurice Bradley, the fullback, they use him. He comes, this is just lead ISO, it's called. And the reason it's lead ISO, you isolate your big fullback on the outside backer or the inside backer. You pick the one. You're going to see him coming to the left. The fullback comes up, gets a big pop on that outside backer, opens up a huge hole.
Does this look a lot like their first touchdown drive? They took a fumble, drove 34 yards for a score. This time they got it around the 40, and they're driving now inside the 15, running the football, Western Kentucky. Hayes in motion behind the quarterback, Haddix.
Well, we got a motion penalty. Big Anthony Oakley, the right guard, and it was probably the cadence of the quarterback got him to jump. I'm just going to keep saying that it's never the offensive line's fault, but he gets a little anxious and gets moving, and they'll get him for 5. Can't blame him. He just wants to go hit somebody.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And I like him. He's got number 62, which is the number I wore my last 6 years or so in the NFL.
Anthony Oakley is another guy that has drawn some attention at the next level. He's 295, which, believe it or not, is smaller for an interior offensive lineman, but he's a good one.
Yeah, talking to some NFL scouts before the game, they liked both of these guards, Big Joe Washington and Anthony Oakley. Seniors, guys can move their feet well.
Handoff goes to Miller around the left side, running behind Anthony Oakley, who transferred this year from Indiana. He came in late in the August practices, but TJ Weiss, the offensive coordinator, spent some time at Indiana and was very familiar with Oakley, so brought him right into the program. There's big number 62.
Yeah, Jim Tenera, the defensive coordinator for Eastern Kentucky, has now made an adjustment. What we've seen is this power where you pull one guard or the other way, got to get you. You got to do something.
Western Kentucky threatening to score again. They already lead 7-0 at the end of the first quarter on CSTV's Football Saturday. you very much, Mike. Much more coming up from the CSTV Fieldhouse throughout today's ball game. We'll hear from Mike and the guys at the half and the CSTV Football Saturday scoreboard coming up after our ball game today. 7-0 Western Kentucky with the Hilltoppers taking the football. What was that? Second down play to start the second quarter. LaRon Moore stuffed up around the 17. The second youngest coach in all of Division I football is David Elson. 2-0 to start in the first year. Just Jay Bateman from Siena is older. Now, what do you think of a coach that's 32 years old? Heck, a coach that's 30 years old leading Division I programs.
You know, I think it's great. Young coaches bring enthusiasm. They bring so much to a program, especially when you need to recruit and you got to be out there a lot. I always love, you know, I was on teams in the pros where we had young coaches, younger than some of the players. Loved it.
Dave Elson spent 7 years as a defensive coordinator here. Now he's a head coach. Blitz coming. Addix will tuck it, and he will run inside the 10. Good decision?
Yeah, you know, there's pressure. There's no one open. Let's face it. As far as him throwing the ball, he's made good decisions, but you know, maybe a couple of questionable ones. You take what you can get. You get 3 points, and you do the smart play rather than forcing it where it shouldn't be and having an interception or something unfortunate occur.
Matt Lang comes on to attempt the kick. He's 4 for 4 so far this year. 26-yard kick. He gets hit hard after the kick, but he boots it through. Western Kentucky takes a 10-0 lead over the Colonels from Richmond and Eastern Kentucky University. Rivalry has been tight and intense to start. Eastern Kentucky has turned the football over twice, and Western Kentucky has turned that into a couple of scores, a touchdown and now a 26-yard field goal to make it 10-0. And folks from Western Kentucky have gotten exactly what they wanted, an early lead against the rivals.
You know, I think some people wonder why they're called the Hilltoppers. You know, I always assumed because there's, you know, we're in a hilly part of the country. We're not. It's actually kind of flat around here. It's just because their whole campus sits up on top of the only hill around.
Right, we're not exactly in the mountains here in southwestern Kentucky.
Threw me for a loop when I got here. It was this flat.
And the Colonels from Eastern Kentucky, not specifically the most famous Colonel Sanders, just in general,
just
Colonels.
Kentucky Colonels.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Not specific. In case anyone from KFC is watching today's broadcast.
Who?
Claiborne to kick it off for Western Kentucky. It's another good one. Ralston backs up into the end zone. He took a knee last time. This time he will bring it out. And he'll have a chance at a return. Andre Ralston falls down right in front of the kicker at the 35. He had the kicker to beat, and Ralston fell down.
Well, you know, he made the decision to take this out, and, you know, maybe whether it was a good decision or not, or whether you agree with it, hey, he went full speed, and that's why he gets so many yards. When you make that decision, you go.
The weekend begins on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Crystal Ball. Join host Sid Rosenberg, Scott Zolak, Aaron Taylor, and Sports Illustrated's Kelly King as they look back at the week that was in college football and peek ahead to the weekend's college football action. Crystal Ball on CSTV, the new home of college sports. First and 10 for Eastern Kentucky. Ice takes a long time to get this play in. And he drops the ball short, intended for Trey Evans.
Well, he had him open. He's a little mad at himself because it's going to get good protection. There's no read. This is just a drop back, hit this quick. What can you say? Hey, get the ball up. Coach Hope's not too happy about that, I'm sure.
Mentioned Danny Hope stints at Purdue and Louisville, also Oklahoma and Wyoming.
And he's barking there. You know, he's got a voice that when it barks kind of scares you.
Now, he's a coach.
Oh,
There's no doubt about it. Built like a coach, he speaks like a coach, and he's coached like a coach so far at Eastern Kentucky. 3 penalty flags. Geis takes another hit.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a hold out here, out on the edge. And, the tight ends for Eastern Kentucky are really good blocking tight ends. One thing we noticed when they played Appalachian State, they were outstanding at taking some of the defensive ends out. And we're going to get a look here. You look to our right, and you're going to see Mike Woodridge, number 85 out here. And he's right on the edge of the thing, and that's where that flag goes. And he just, you know, hey, got a little rambunctious, gave a grab, pulled a little jersey.
Now, as an offensive lineman, when you're rolling out and you have a duty to protect your quarterback, is there times where you intentionally make that hold?
Well, he was a tight end. So
tight end.
He's not an offensive lineman.
Distinction.
But I'll tell you, well, there's Matt Ellis there sitting on the sideline, and you know he's got some experience this season. And the more they hit Matt Geis, we might be seeing him in. And yes, go back to your question. You grab and pull and do everything you can to stop the guy from getting there.
Especially when Geis has been hit like he has in the first half so far. 3rd down and long for Eastern Kentucky. Already down 10-0. Pressure again. Geis gets rid of it, takes a good pop, nearly picked. Evans couldn't make the grab. Antonio Beals skied and nearly got the interception.
Well, you know, okay, first off, we talked about, we looked at the opposite side. Don't make a dumb decision. Well, Matt Geis doesn't need to throw this ball. The Western Kentucky Colonels are going to hit you. That's a little late, but they're letting them know we're going to whack you every chance you get. He doesn't set his feet correctly, and because he never sets his feet, that ball floats, it gets back and can almost be picked off.
Western Kentucky's defensive coordinator, Don Martindale, said that was their strategy. Hit the quarterback early, often, all game long.
Well, Coach Martindale believes in the Buddy Ryan system. That's where they figured their defense out, very much like the old 4-6. And that's get a lot of shots at the quarterback and run those gaps.
Beals makes a late fair catch, and here comes a penalty after the play. After the play, there was a little bit of mixing it up. The officials called the fair catch as soon as Beals waved his arm, so anything that goes on after that can get a little chippy. So Elson does a good job of getting his players off the field.
We're going to look at it here. So first off, he's what happens is Beals makes a fair catch, then after the play decides to run around a little bit. You know, a guy gets in there, and that's called delay a game.
It was a dead ball, delay, running with the ball after the fair catch signal.
Well, we can't hear that official, but he's telling me after you break a fair catch, you can't run with the ball. Penalty's on you.
Chip Franklin, backup quarterback in there on special teams, and maybe that's what happened when you guys under center get out in the open field. 10-0 Western Kentucky.
National City Bank for their sponsorship of tonight's game, the Battle of the Bluegrass.
Gotcha.
(10-0) Western Kentucky in the Battle of the Bluegrass. Couple of turnovers by Eastern Kentucky, leading to 10 points for Western.
Well, that's the story of this game right now. You cannot have turnovers in a rivalry game or any type of emotional game. We have a turnover that leads to a touchdown, a special teams kick play that leads to a field goal. That's all you're scoring.
Danny Hope's team down 10-0 and not moving the ball. So the defense will try to pin Western back.
Well, I like Jim Tenera. I think he's made some very good adjustments. Number one among them is when they run the power, and when I say power, any type of trap or counter with those guards, they're running some tricks. And what they're doing is they're bringing one D lineman under, one D lineman over, and that creates hard blocking angles for those big guys, and it lets somebody generally run free. And that's what we're seeing right now. So we'll see what Western Kentucky can do to counterbalance that adjustment.
Haddix on second down. Dropping way back. It's a screen, and it is bobbled and fumbled. That is an incomplete pass. Still behind the line of scrimmage, but as Glenn pointed out to us, a forward pass. That's incomplete.
That was incomplete. And it's a well set up screen, but one of the problems, any screen, is the timing has to be just right. If a guy gets free too soon, you don't make the pass, right? Because now you're scrambling backwards. Guy, if he sits there, or if you block him too well, then he's sitting there waiting for the pass to come at you. Screens are one thing you practice over and over and over again to get that timing down.
On third down, Western Kentucky needs to get to its own 39. 50% so far in this ball game are the Hilltoppers. Haddix from the shotgun. Pressure coming. Penalty flag goes down. Haddix goes down as Justin Rivers, the middle linebacker on the blitz, gets to the freshman quarterback.
Well, they got to him all right, and what they're running here is a misdirection. And there's just, you like to say, well, the guy made the play, but what really happens, you have a blitz coming, or actually a dog when we talk about linebackers. And the dog, when he gets up in Haddix's face, Haddix doesn't know what to do because he's not expecting a dog. He's having a hard enough time faking and then trying to find a receiver. So credit that linebacker coming through with confusing the quarterback.
Penalty was against Western Kentucky. Eastern will force them into fourth down, though, taking the sack. And a tough spot here for the punter, Brian Claiborne. He's a heck of a punter, though. First team all Gateway Conference. Claiborne gets that punt off. Perkins will let it bounce. And Western downs it right around the 43. Well, we told you what this rivalry means to the people of Kentucky, and it means a whole lot to these players as well who have grown up in the Commonwealth, including the senior Big Joe Washington. He's grown up with this rivalry between the Hilltoppers and Colonels.
The Easter game to me means tradition between Western and Eastern, a lot of rivalry between my father and I because he went to Eastern and I'm going to Western now. My mother went to Western, so when I decided to come to Western, it was a battle between my parents. And so my mother, she won the upper hand. She got me to come to Western, but for me, it's to prove that my father made the wrong decision when he went to college.
Yeah, not just wins and losses, but for a guy like Joe Washington, he's trying to prove to his dad that Western Kentucky was the place for him to go.
Well, he's no fool. He went where his mom, his mom likes. You go with dad, you go home, there's no food, and you look at the guy, he likes to eat. He goes home, says, Mom, we're doing well at Western, and Mom feeds him. You can tell he made the decision to go to Western based on Mom's home cooking.
And he made the decision to sit at that table when Mom was cooking.
Yeah.
Eastern Kentucky, which is not put together much offensively on first down. Complete to Trey Evans on the right side, catching that ball right in front of Jeremy Chandler.
Well, one of the ways to negate speed in our defense is run right at him, which we saw in the first play with Ennis. And now what do? You drop back and you throw this ball where only your guy can get it. You roll a little bit. And we already talked about Matt Geis being very good on the move. And when he's on the move like that, all he has is one guy to throw to, stop, right there. Outside, only his guy gets it.
Eastern's finally moving the football.
Yeah, you got to be, if you're Coach Hope, you're breathing a little sigh of relief. Your defense getting a break, and maybe you can get something.
Geis in the shotgun, but only 2 wideouts. Pressure picked up. Geis hit again, and he had to throw it a little bit early. Missed Andre Ralston because going over was Chad Kincaid, the left end.
Well, the way you combat the pass rush, the way you combat the blitz is you go max protect, 2 wideouts. Well, hey, Western Kentucky doesn't care. They're still going to come hit you. Now, that's not a bad hit, but it doesn't. You don't have to hit a quarterback to get in his head. A lot of times, a hand around his arm when he's throwing, just that little bit in his face. That'll get in his head.
2nd and 10. Geis again from the shotgun. This time he has the 2 wide receivers at the top of the field on his left side. Roll out. Plenty of time, and he completes it to Ralston inside the 20. Ralston gets hit hard by Antonio Beals, but another first down for the Colonels.
Well, Kurt Beathard, the offensive coordinator for Eastern Kentucky, now that he's got the speed negated a little bit, another way to negate the blitz that's always coming at you is roll yourself to the tight end side. That keeps the weak side blitz off your back. Now you see he's got to throw through a lot of traffic. And that's dangerous because if he's a right-handed quarterback, he has to set his feet on and throw back across his body. But guys don't get much more open than Ralston is there. That's a safe throw.
In the red zone now, Eastern Kentucky trying to put points on the board for the first time. They trailed 10-0. Still not running the football well, though, as Terry Ennis is wrapped up. Penalty flag comes in after the play. Eastern hasn't been penalized yet. 3 penalties against Western Kentucky.
Can't hear him on either of them. I know that he doesn't say anything.
Personal foul, late hit on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
After the penalty, it is first down and goal now for Eastern Kentucky. From just inside the 10-yard line, and yet Geis still in the shotgun. He throws it way over the head of Allen Evans.
Well, we talk about Geis being a smart player. There's nothing there for him, and he knows it. Throw it away. Don't try to do something heroic or brave. Just get rid of it.
10:06 left in the first half. And Eastern Kentucky is trying to break through. They didn't move the football well for much of this first half. Now they're finally in the red zone. Now is where you have to put points up.
The main thing is be smart. Keep your hands on the ball.
2nd and goal. Pressure looks like it's coming from Western Kentucky. Ennis gets around that pressure. He gets hit at the 5, stays on his feet. Ennis picks up positive yardage, but he stopped short of the goal line.
There's another flag down. Well, we've seen Maslowski come in, and there's Woodridge does a good job, grabs him a little, but this flag comes in so much later that you figure that's not what they're calling.
It is a personal foul against Eastern Kentucky. That is a costly penalty. Danny Hope doesn't like it one bit. Now, as a coach, when you're in a rivalry game, you know it's going to be intense. It has to be tough to...
Personal foul on the offense. Play results in 3rd down.
Well, when you're going into the end zone, it's all about risk and rewards. That's why you don't go on hard counts going in instead of you do them on coming out. There's no reward to the big risk you're taking if you jump. That's what happens with this type of thing. You get a penalty, it drops you way back instead of giving you any gain you might have gotten off of the cheat.
This is still 3rd and goal. Geis maybe thinking field goal position, throws it right over the middle to Jeff Barrett.
Well, I think that's exactly what he was thinking. Barrett says, Coach Beathard says, hey, let's drop back. We're going to throw quickly right over the middle of the field to your left. Get it right between the hash marks so you have a center set for your field goal because you know you're not going to get into the end zone.
The freshman kicker comes on. It's Stephen Swan, who is 2 for 3. Takes over for the senior Adam Smith, who with a groin injury had some problems kicking field goals. So for a 31-yard attempt, here is Stephen Swan. Eastern Kentucky is on the board, finishing a drive with a field goal from Stephen Swan, making it 10-3 Western Kentucky on EKU. Let's check in with the CSTV Fieldhouse. We will see all of those teams later this year on CSTV Football Saturday. We bring you the best matchups from around 1AA college football.
You know, it's only 3 points for Eastern Kentucky, but the importance of that drive cannot be underestimated. Number one, you take time off the clock and you're in a hostile situation. I know you're behind, but you get your defense some rest against a much bigger offensive team they have to face. Number two, you get a few points and you stay in the game. And number three, it gave you confidence because you ran the ball, you passed the ball, you did all phases of your game very well.
Very short scoring drive for Eastern Kentucky, but really with the way they hadn't moved the football at all, you have to be encouraged if you're a Colonel fan.
That's right.
Short kickoff. Rooney lets it roll past him and into the end zone, so Western Kentucky will take it out at the 20-yard line. You're watching CSTV, the new home of college sports, and the first 24-hour college sports network featuring live regular season and championship events like volleyball, wrestling, hockey, baseball, lacrosse, basketball, football, and much more. Every Sunday, it's Notre Dame Primetime, featuring interviews, coaches' shows, and a look back to the greatest games of the Fighting Irish. Also coming soon to CSTV's U.S. Olympic Pursuit, showcasing amateur athletes and future Olympic champions from 39 Olympic sports. Log on to CSTV.com for more information. CSTV, the new home of college sports. First down handoff for Western Kentucky goes to LaRon Moore.
When you watch LaRon Moore run, you know, he's a faster guy than Chris Miller. And Chris Miller's more of a power guy, and then you bring in LaRon Moore. What a changeup you have, because he's strong but even faster. So, you know, they've got actually have a trio of running backs they really like. But, you know, I think sometime in the game we're going to get to watch Tony West too on an option. He's probably the fastest guy on the football field. So 3 backs that all have different styles, all run very well, and they're effective.
We told you about all those quarterbacks, including Casey Rooney, the wide receiver, all the former quarterbacks for Western Kentucky. Don't be surprised if there's a couple tricks up the sleeves of T.J. Wiest with a wide receiver who can throw the football.
I saw T.J. Wiest, so he's wearing a short sleeve shirt, so just get up in there for that trick.
It's way up that sleeve.
Way up that sleeve.
Haddix, play action. He's looking long, leaves that one high in the air. It's incomplete, but a penalty flag comes down, intended for Earl Clayton. Perkins nearly got the pick after it was tipped.
Well, good play action because they pull Oakley. Everybody thinks it's a power run. He gets out, but this is a duck. He absolutely threw a duck on this one. It gets up there so high. It's a jump ball. You know, I have a hard time with that call. I think neither of his hands are pulling. They're both raised above, go over the ball. I have a hard time with calling an interference call on this.
However, there was a little touching going on. Watch Randall's left arm if we can.
Well, you know, it is football. It's a contact
on
sport.
The defense, more than 15 yards. Previous spot, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Watch his left arm, Glenn.
Yes, I know. His left arm is down. You can't see it from there because he's not grabbing anything, and his right arm is over his shoulder going up for the ball. I call that. I don't like that call. Let him play. Ball's in the air.
One of the few times Western Kentucky will go deep when they get a penalty out of it. And LaRon Moore gets a handoff on first down. 9 quarterbacks on this Western Kentucky roster coming into the fall, so obviously the coaches had to do something about that, move some guys around.
Well, yeah, you know, they got 3 good guys, they think. Then there's a couple guys on the practice squad. Then you see they put 2 wide receivers. One becomes a linebacker. How big was he playing quarterback? And then carrying Faulkner as well, that, you know, move him to a DB. So shows you how much athletic talent this team has and how deep they are. That they have that many guys play quarterback, but then that many guys they can move around and have them play somewhere else.
And it was Justin Haddix who won that starting role. Second down, Haddix handing off again to LaRon Moore. Big hole around the right side. Moore into Eastern Kentucky territory down to the 42.
If you're Danny Hope, you're a little upset because they have not thrown the ball effectively. Why rush the passer that hard to open up a draw? We're going to get a good look here. Everybody's going to set. That gets them all upfield. That creates lanes. And this kid can just make people miss from there on out and run hard. I'm upset if I'm the defensive coordinator because why are you rushing the pass out hard when they've been ineffective throwing the ball? And that was my turn at the tongue twister.
Running the football. LaRon Moore picks up 5 more yards. It has been his drive with the help of a pass interference penalty against Eastern Kentucky.
Well, the coaches like both of these guys, and they told us Chris Miller's a player, but hey, LaRon Moore's got a lot of yards this year too. You're watching, he protects the ball well when he gets into traffic, puts that shoulder down and smacks somebody, and that's why he gets 2 extra yards rather than getting stopped for a 3-yard gain. He gets himself 5.
So it's second down and 5. Ball squarely on the 40-yard line. Moore averaging almost 5 yards a carry, but none on that second down handoff. Maybe picked up half a yard, but it will bring up third down and 5 for Western Kentucky.
Well, what we're seeing is that Western Kentucky's not getting to that second level blocking anymore. There's a good job of Eastern Kentucky getting under the linemen, running some stunts, confusing the offensive line a little bit, and that doesn't get your big guys on the second level, and those are the guys making the tackles. Your Mike linebacker, your outside linebackers, they're coming up and stopping plays.
Twin wide receivers for Western Kentucky on third down. Haddix play action, pressure coming. He's looking over to his left side, and that ball is incomplete. Shannon Hayes couldn't quite run under it inside the 20.
And, you know, to start this game, we said, hey, get 9 guys up in the box if you have to, play man-on-man coverage, and dare Haddix to beat you throwing the ball. That's exactly what Eastern Kentucky has done. You know, a couple good drives by Western Kentucky. It shows you how good they are, but they've adjusted. Eastern Kentucky has adjusted well now, and they are daring Haddix to beat him, and right now he can't do it.
Haddix just 2 for 7 throwing the football, so that means Claiborne comes on to punt. Evans will return it. Remember, last punt return, he fumbled the football, leading to a Western Kentucky score. This time he will let it go, and Western Kentucky downs it at the 5. Perfect punt from Brian Claiborne. So the Colonels will take over at their 5, trailing 10-3 on CSTV's Football Saturday.
Went out on the air.
Bowling Green, Kentucky are awfully quiet. because everybody's at Smith Stadium on the Western Kentucky University campus. The third-ranked Hilltoppers have a 1-touchdown lead. A sellout crowd of over 17,000. They sold out the day before the game for this one. And we're happy to be here bringing it to you from Smith Stadium, Fikes Field. Carter Blackburn with Glenn Parker in the booth. Chris Miller is on the sideline.
This is some booth we have here, I tell you. Now, it'll be interesting, Western Kentucky here with this D-line. I love their D-line, coached by Mike Finoga. He does a great job with these guys.
Geis rolling out in his own end zone and completes it to LaRon Moore, who picks up a first down. Notre Dame primetime tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern with host Derek Mays, former Fighting Irish great, and Steve Schlanger. Each week, Derek and Steve take you to South Bend for post-game locker room interviews, coaches shows, and much more. You'll also go back in time to see the greatest plays and players in Notre Dame history. Notre Dame primetime every Sunday on CSTV, the new home of college sports. So a complete recap of Notre Dame, Michigan State coming up on Notre Dame primetime.
Is it Notre or Notre? I always have a problem with that. I have friends that play, they say Notre.
Geis leaves it short for Ralston. That is incomplete. Ralston thought he got it. The Eastern Kentucky sideline thought he got it, but it's incomplete.
And yet again, they pick Matt Geis up off the turf. He gets hit right after he throws his ball. He's going to get tired of taking shots. And that's what they're counting on. Don Martindale said, hey, we want to hit him every way we can. Mike Finoga, the D-line coach, said, hey, my D-line, we're small, but we've got a lot of tough guys, and they're going to fly around. And the way these two guys coach is, hey, hit that quarterback. Hit him all you can.
Three wideouts on 2nd down and 10 for Matt Geis. Pump fakes and then fires it. He didn't want to go, and then he ended up throwing over the middle anyway.
Well, Kurt Beathard has found something in this defense where he likes the middle of the field. It allows Matt Geis to see right away his receiver. He gets a pump, and boom, it's through. It's a fast throw, and it's generally a safe throw with the way they're spreading out the whole defense. It'll look, it's a good pump fake, and it's a double move, and it freezes that linebacker, Maslowski, right in the middle.
Jeff Barrett makes the grab. Another first down for Eastern Kentucky. Their second drive where they've moved the football, keeping that pressure off of Geis. He'll tuck it, and he will voluntarily take a big hit, but he took it standing up from Charles Thompson, one of the inside linebackers from Western Kentucky.
You love his grittiness. It's always hard when you're a right-handed quarterback to roll to your left because you got to set your feet to throw. But what they'll tell you is, hey, don't see anybody tuck that thing and run. And you'll see what they'll do is they want to run away from pressure. They want to run away from the blitz. And, you know, hey, you're going to take some shots when you tuck that ball and get in there.
And he gets a show from his right guard, Will Heineman.
So, yeah, you got to get the extra yards, man.
Right, especially when you're near a first down. 2nd down and 3 for Geis in Eastern Kentucky at their own 40. Nowhere on the handoff to Ennis.
Carl Maslowski gets right up in there. You know, a smaller guy, great speed, and you know the coaches just love him. He can play all three linebacker positions, or all four. Excuse me, they play a 3-4 look. He can play all four of them. He's smart enough. He can make the calls. He can do everything they ask him, and he's fast. He's got the speed to cover. He's got the speed to make a play like that, get upfield, get a hit.
3rd down and 3. Eastern Kentucky has converted just 1 of 4. 3rd down so far in this game. They trail 10-3. Geis will go from the shotgun with trip receivers on his right side. Roll out to that side. Barrett makes the grab, gets across the 50. Well-designed play by Kurt Beathard in Eastern Kentucky.
Well, again, they're not asking guys to hold that ball long. They know he's getting hit. It's a quick roll. You roll him away from the tight end this time and throw back right over the middle of the field so that he's got a perfect shot to his one man. Throw quick, run away from pressure.
You like the adjustments that Eastern Kentucky's been making?
I do, because what they're doing to combat the blitz, they're rolling him both ways. They're rolling him into the tight end and out and away from the tight end. And what that does, they know the blitz likes to come weak from Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky now has to switch up where they're blitzing.
Eastern Kentucky trying to drive and score before the half, but they have still not run the football. C.J. Hudson gets stuck behind the line. But a great job on the run.
Yeah,
Chad Kincaid gets in there.
I like, Chad Kincaid, the coaches. I was talking to Mike Finoga right before the game, and he said, talk to me about this kid. He said, this kid walked on. He worked himself into the starting job and worked himself to the point where he's one of their better D linemen, if not the best D lineman they have on the team. Not a big guy. I stood next to him. He's the size. There's the big Mike Finoga. Mike Finoga from Fountain Valley, California. Played for the Fountain Valley Barons there, a high school in the Orange County, California area. But this kid Kincaid, boy, I tell you, can do it all. He's a small guy.
2nd and 12. Play action. Nobody fooled. Geis will tuck it, and he will take the sack back at his own 42.
And it was Kincaid on the pressure. He does a good job of using what they call not giving it. You don't give a surface. He got a good edge, got the rush right up the middle, puts the pressure on guys. Guys, has nowhere to throw, and wisely takes a sack instead of throwing that ball away. Boy, yeah, you think he doesn't want to be in that game right now. Boy, is he excited. That's his line. He's happy. And he can't talk. He talks so well about his guys. Never tells you anything bad about them, just tells you what they do well, all the good things they can do. And he says, you'll see what they can't do when you watch.
3rd down and long for Eastern Kentucky. They need to get inside the other 40-yard line. Screen pass, the tight end takes it. Woolridge has some room. Woolridge will be near the 1st down, and a penalty flag comes in late. Coming up at halftime in less than 2 minutes of game time, we'll send you to the CSTV Fieldhouse. And a very close call again for Ohio State. Some huge games in the SEC today, as well as Miami, a tough road test. Mike Crispino and the guys have it for you. Coming up at the halftime of the CSTV Fieldhouse.
Miami is at Boston College, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure that.
That was the site, of course,
of the Miracle.
Doug Flutie's.
Talk about tough road games, though. How about Michigan with a tough road game at Oregon, going out to that Pac-10 tough Autzen Stadium and losing a.
We'll hear a lot about that coming up at the half from the CSTV Fieldhouse.
Yes, we will. That's good. Yeah, that's the way you brought it right back to home for me.
I know you're going to stick around for that recap, too. Shot block.
Here, 15 yards from the spot of the foul, still 3rd down.
Now, is that what happens when you run a tight end screen that you probably haven't pulled
a whole lot? No, what happens is you got a guy from what they're calling this probably on the interior of the line, one guy blocking, one guy cutting, and a chop block is when you got one guy high and another guy low. And that's the only way you have a chop block, unless you have a wide receiver coming from the outside in and takes a guy off the line of scrimmage from the outside in. So it's hard to tell when you see a screen like that where it happens. The ref just happened to be in the right spot.
3rd down and 31 for Eastern Kentucky. Nice roll out. Incomplete pass. He got rid of the football, but he got hit hard again by Brandon Smith.
Brandon Smith's a very good defensive player. He's a guy that transferred in out of Missouri, and he's just learning this defense. They said, listen, we're just going to put him as a bullet going to the quarterback occasionally. That's what Don Martindale said. Said, you know what, the guy's just come on board from Missouri. Run him at the quarterback. That's what we want to do, and that's why Mike Guess has a black jacket on. He's going to take a shot like that.
Cool will punt. Beals will return. Another good punt from Cool. Beals up the middle to the 45. There's another penalty flag. Let's head down to Chris Miller on the sideline.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. There's a lot of tradition here at Western Kentucky, one of which is the red towel. Here's how the story goes. E.A. Diddle coached both football and basketball in the mid to late 20s, and he originated the red towel craze due to all the student athletes taking the white towels away from the facility. So he decided, to make a long story short, to have the hand towels dyed in red to keep them in the facility. The only problem was that dye was sticking to the student's body. So once again, it was determined that the red towel was accepted. Well, the rest is history, and that's what they use to get everyone going. Guys, back upstairs.
And even though they're known as the Hilltoppers, you see on those helmets, it's actually a red towel, and they more commonly referred to around here as the Big Red
The Big Red
of Western Kentucky.
On the return team, 10 yards from the end of the kick, first down.
So that will make the potential drive for Western Kentucky even longer with just over a minute to go before the half. A tight game as we expected, and it has been a very physical game.
Now, you know, the average fan watch it says, boy, Eastern Kentucky didn't get any points. They failed there. But they started that drive on their own 4-yard line, got out to midfield, had a couple penalties. Now they've punted Western Kentucky all the way down in, and now Eastern Kentucky controls field position and can hopefully control the pace of the game towards halftime. That was a win for Eastern Kentucky, even though there was no points on board.
Western Kentucky running the football. You think they gave it one crack at a score?
Well, I think, you know, at this point, you might wait another couple of plays if you can get some yards, get some time off that clock, because you do not want our quarterback Haddix to throw a ball right now that can be picked and give the Eastern Kentucky Colonels a chance at scoring.
So second down, Haddix is under center with an eye backfield. Chris Miller back in at tailback with under 40 seconds to go. Miller up close to a first down. Western Kentucky running the football effectively, but it was really the turnovers by Eastern Kentucky that has led us to this 10-3 score nearing halftime. Eastern Kentucky -1 rushing yards for the day, and that is why they trail by a touchdown at the half. 97 yards total offense for Western Kentucky, but they have been 97 effective yards, leading to our 10-3 halftime score here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The defending 1AA national champs run off the field against their rivals with a 10-3 lead at Smith Stadium. Here's Chris Miller.
Where you want me looking? All right, guys, thanks a lot, Coach. 10 points off 2 turnovers, the key of the first half.
No question, those turnovers were huge, and we just got to try to keep getting them, and on our side of the ball, we got to not turn it over.
It's so big in rivalry games to take advantage of those mistakes, aren't you?
Yes, our offense did a great job of getting 7 out of the first one, and 3 was good for the second one, so we're happy with that.
All right, Coach, good luck in the second half. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Chris and Coach. The score at halftime, it's 10-3, Western Kentucky on Eastern Kentucky. Now let's go to Mike Crispino at the CSTV Fieldhouse for the CSTV College Football Saturday halftime.
Big Red Marching Band. The WKU football team on the field following tonight's game, but the NCAA has implemented a new rule that prohibits fans. Advantage of your chance to secure this piece of Diddle Arena history. We'd like to thank National City Bank for their sponsorship of tonight's game, the Battle of the Bluegrass. Checking other college football scores. In the second quarter, Murray State leads Indiana State 10-7. In the second quarter, Southwest Missouri State leads Southeast Missouri State 14-7. Western Illinois leads Tennessee Martin 41-0 in the second quarter. And Porter Atlantic and Youngstown State still tied at 3. The other 1A scores going on at this time. Clemson leads Georgia Tech 25-3. Pittsburgh leading Toledo 24-14 in the third quarter. Northern Illinois leading Alabama 12-9 in the fourth quarter. Oklahoma State leading SMU 45-0 in the third quarter. Vanderbilt trails TCU 17-14 in the third quarter. Miami leads Boston College 21-0 in the second quarter. Wake Forest leading East Carolina 34-16 in the fourth. Louisiana Lafayette trails Minnesota 31-7 in the second, and Houston leads Mississippi State 21-0 in the second quarter.
At the half, it is third-ranked Western Kentucky with a 10-3 lead on the Colonels from Eastern Kentucky in the rivalry game, the Battle of the Bluegrass. Now let's head down to Chris Miller.
All right, guys. Coach, if it wasn't for the 2 turnovers, it'd be a different game. But what was the message in the locker room?
The message in the locker room was we knew coming into this football game that we're going to play for the whole 4 quarters. So we're not surprised to be down a little bit by half based on turning the ball over 2 times inside the 35-yard line. But we knew coming into the ball game we have to play the whole 4 quarters to win. So we're prepared to do so.
All right, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you,
guys.
Eastern Kentucky didn't move the ball a whole lot. Rushing the football, certainly, but they got those points right before the half.
Well, you know, they did run the ball effectively at some times, but they had some sacks that took away some of those yards, and some penalties took away some yards. So they've been effective when they had to be, but obviously not enough to put enough points on the board just yet.
And those 2 turnovers have loomed large for Eastern Kentucky.
Well, certainly, you know, the first one is just a lateral. You got to make this grab, or you got to make a play for the ball, and that leads to a keeper touchdown by Haddix. And then, you know, coming back the other way, it's a great job of making a play by Burtz, the starting corner for this Western Kentucky team. And here he's on special teams, and that's why you put a starter out there. He makes a big play. You got to get that turnover, and then next thing you know, you got 3 points. And you know, we'll get a good look at Matt Geist, the quarterback. He gets he's taken some shots today, and you know what? It's going to start to wear on him. He'll get a big boom right after the ball there, and you know, you don't have to get a sack to make it hurt and make it something. And this one, he's going to keep it. Yeah, he's going to get a couple yards on the play, but they're making him pay for it. And then another blitz, yeah, he gets rid of that ball. There's no turnover, but he's hurting. And you know, you don't always have to have a sack or an interception for it to be a big play. Just got to be a hit.
Matt Geist has more yards than the freshman quarterback for Western Kentucky. But remember that Matt Geist hasn't completed a game this year. He was knocked out of last week's loss to Central Michigan, a big reason why the Chippewas were able to come back and beat Eastern Kentucky. It will be Matt Geist and Eastern Kentucky who get the football first in the second half, trailing 10-3. Underway in the 3rd quarter. Ralston will bring it out. Good return last time he took it out of the end zone, and another good return to the 24.
Well, he was a bit indecisive here, taking that ball out, and it almost cost him. But you know, because of his speed and his skill at being a returner, he knew where the return was supposed to go, got it back there. You know, it's interesting when you play the game. You might say, okay, we got return right on. Well, what if the ball's kicked to the left? You can't return right anymore. What you have to do is convert, or you just stick with that plan. And he stuck with the plan, got to the return, got himself some yards. That's why they're starting a little better position than if he had just decided to take his own initiative.
Geist on 1st down and 10 from his own 24. Play action on the first play. Geist looking long to Ralston. Batted down and incomplete. Jeremy Chandler on the coverage.
Well, that's why you can blitz as often as you do when you have a corner that can run stride for stride with Ralston down the sideline.
Western Kentucky on its first play from scrimmage of the game went long and incomplete. Now Eastern Kentucky on the first play of the second half going for the home run ball, trying to tie this game up with a touchdown.
Well, that
over 200 receiving yards last week.
That, and you loosen up that deal a little by doing this. You try to get them off your back a little, run the ball, open some things up.
Geist in the shotgun on 2nd down and 10. Rolled out with a pressure coming and a sack coming. Geist hit again. Chad Kincaid, the left end, gets the sack.
But if you're going to roll, what you have to do defensively to stop the quarterback from rolling is get up in his face and stop it. And now Chad Kincaid's going to come from our right-hand side. You know, he just cuts across the face of one of the offensive linemen. And now he's got perfect shot at this quarterback. Quarterback has to pull up or throw it or take this hit. And he decides to take the hit rather than throw it into a bunch of trees out there.
3rd official sack of the day for Western Kentucky, but they have executed their strategy of hitting Matt Geist.
That they have. They said we're going to hit him and hit him and hit him.
The Hilltoppers have yet to give up a score in the second half this season. 3 games in. Geist slips out of more pressure. Still a live football after he took the hit. Picks up a couple of yards, but that counts as a quarterback hurry.
Well, it does. And what happens here is Brandon Smith comes off the corner and beats 2 guys by using a spin move to the inside. Number 11, watch him. He's got a double team on him, uses a spin move, comes right back and on him. You wonder to yourself, that's a lot of upper body strength and a total body strength by Geist to get out of that and just get a little something.
Matt Geist looks like a veteran, doesn't he?
Yeah, he makes the smart plays. He does. Unfortunately, he's getting hit so often, you don't really get to see him play.
Cool's punt will...
More than anything, credit Western Kentucky's defense.
Ball down at the 45, so Western Kentucky will start with good field position on its first drive of the second half. You're watching CSTV, the new home of college sports and the first 24-hour college sports network, featuring live regular season and championship events like volleyball, wrestling, hockey, baseball, lacrosse, basketball, football, and much more. Every Sunday, it's Notre Dame Primetime, featuring interviews, coaches' shows, and a look back to the greatest games of the Fighting Irish. Also coming soon, CSTV's U.S. Olympic Pursuit, showcasing amateur athletes and future Olympic champions from 39 Olympic sports. Log on to CSTV.com for more information. CSTV, the new home of college sports. Fumbled snap. Haddix falls back on top of it, but not a good start offensively in the second half.
Well, one thing you always talk about is your first couple of series. Now, the exchange here, it looks like it hits him right in the hands and it just drops out like he wasn't quite ready for it. But every team I've ever been on, you stress, hey, the first possession of the second half, the first drive, whether it's offense or defense, is the most important for either side of the ball because it sets the tone for the rest of the game. Unlike the first one in the first half, which kind of gets you into the game, this one sets it for the second half. And right now, Western Kentucky came out and dominated Eastern Kentucky defensively. See what they do on their first possession.
Movement on the line, no flag though. Second down and 10. Haddix gets rid of the football, just his third completion of the day. That one goes to Earl Clayton. Western Kentucky, the 1AA national champions from 2002. So every time you win a championship, you know that the opponents are going to be gunning for you all year long. And this is the T-shirt that Western Kentucky has worn with the target square in the chest. Because they know that they're
wearing that sombrero. The target's on them.
Draw play up the middle. Miller takes it around the right side, gets a first down near the 40-yard line into Eastern Kentucky territory.
Well, again, and I'll stress, we go back to what we talked about before. You don't have to rush this quarterback as hard as you think you do because he hasn't beaten you with the pass. But this guy, Chris Miller, has beaten you on the run, in particular the draw. He's got at least 20 yards on the draw plays. And what happens, you rush that passer, it breaks open these lanes. All of a sudden, Chris Miller's getting tackled by a safety downfield instead of being tackled by a lineman right up in front where it should have happened.
61 yards rushing for the senior tailback, Chris Miller, for Western Kentucky. A 10-3 lead for the Hilltoppers. And first down inside Colonel territory. Haddix pressured, so he rolls out. Now he tucks it, and the freshman quarterback runs it inside the 30.
You know, when he runs this, when he rolls out, he knows he can see pressure, but he has to feel it. He feels it when he turns around, ducks it, and now he does a smart thing and runs upfield. Doesn't try to make a move, doesn't try to get to the corner. He runs upfield and gets himself the 11 yards and gets the first down rather than making a mistake and throwing the ball, number one, or trying to outrun somebody, which he's not going to do.
That is a first down now to the 30-yard line. Hand off to Miller again. Nothing there on the left side, though.
Chris Miller on the carry for Western. Run down by number
That's Chad Dewberry, an undersized guy, but again, what they're doing is they're twisting and stunting them and getting up into the legs. It kind of confusing this offensive line right now.
That's Shannon Hayes being treated on the sideline. They're going to take off his left shoe and check him out. Wide receiver for Western Kentucky. Although, as you've seen, they do not throw the football an awful lot, the Hilltoppers. Running it effectively on this drive. Their first of the second half. Chris Miller just a yard or two on second down. So this may force Western Kentucky into a third and long situation.
Well, if I'm Western Kentucky, I'm running the draw. They haven't stopped it yet. And if they're going to continue to rush the passer, I'm going to run the draw. And now they bring in LaRon Moore, number 25. Faster guy, which makes you wonder if they've been so successful with Chris Miller on the draw, why take him out? We'll see what they have up their sleeve here on a 3rd and long.
3rd down and 8. Three wide receivers trying to get the formation straightened with Rooney now in motion. 3rd and 8, pressure coming. It's a screen. It's Moore, and Moore is dragged down shy of the 1st down.
Well, we see why they brought Moore in. He's their faster guy, and he's a better receiver out of the backfield. Now, is that a key? Probably. Eastern Kentucky says, you know, the light bulb goes on. Hey, small, fast guy's in. What are they going to do? Well, you rush the passer on the screen, and we see that it's open, but there's just too much speed at the linebacker core right now for Eastern Kentucky, and that's why this gets dragged down from behind.
Field goal unit is on for a long one. This would be 47 yards. Matt Lang's long this year is 46. 42-yard field goal. The kick is up, and that is good. 13-10. Western Kentucky takes the lead on its first drive of the 2nd half. Up 10 now. Hilltoppers. The fastest growing university in the Commonwealth of Kentucky is Western Kentucky University, and the football team here in Bowling Green has a 10-point advantage in the Battle of the Bluegrass, 13-3. Carter Blackburn with Glenn Parker at a sold-out Smith Stadium, along with Chris Miller on the sideline.
Well, you see why it's the fastest growing. We took a walk around campus today before the game. The atmosphere is great. You know, the frat houses are right up on campus. It's all very tight-knit university community. And then, hey, we got out and saw the community last night. We went to the downtown square, very vibrant downtown. This offers a lot of college spirit and a great college life, and it's easy to see why it's growing so fast.
And Eastern Kentucky brought a few thousand fans with them over from Richmond. This is a rivalry that hasn't been played the last 2 seasons because of Western Kentucky moving football-wise into the Gateway Conference out of the Ohio Valley Conference. So after a couple of dormant years, the fans were eager for another Battle of the Bluegrass. Ralston and Perkins back deep to receive for Eastern Kentucky. Defensive struggle so far, and Western Kentucky is winning it with a 13-3 advantage. No chance for a return for Ralston on that one. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as CSTV brings you a doubleheader of women's soccer action, the Adidas Classic, live from Santa Clara. The action starts at 2 p.m. Eastern as the 17th-ranked Stanford Cardinal takes on Georgia, followed by a matchup of heavyweights as second-ranked Notre Dame takes the field against the 10th-ranked Broncos of Santa Clara. It's a special doubleheader of NCAA women's soccer only on CSTV, the new home of college sports.
Shannon Hayes, the wide receiver for Western Kentucky, being taken off in a cart. And we certainly hope that he has got a little ice on his left ankle there. We hope that he's all right.
First down and 10 for Eastern Kentucky, trailing by 10 now. Geis hands it off.
Well, they just run it used to be what they call an inside handoff, but it's a little bit of an inside a trap play, and they get themselves some yards. Almost gets his head taken off inside there. Lets him take a shot, and it looked like a face mask from up here, but certainly hard to tell.
C.J. Hudson, a guy who's coming back. He missed all of spring practice as there was an investigation into an incident that involved some criminal charges. Charges were dropped. He rejoined the team, suspended the first game, but Hudson now back with his second game. And off around the left side, a little bit bigger look as Aaron Murray takes it for his first carry of the ball game, but he slips and falls on.
Well, you know, what happens is Charles Thompson does a good job of getting in here, getting in his face, getting him a hit, and then dragging him down from behind. You're right, there was some bad footing there, but you saw the strength of Charles Thompson on that play. It was, you know, a big guy who moves well side to side of that MAC linebacker spot. He's a real leader on the defense.
Dave Elson wants his crowd to get into it on third down. Eastern Kentucky going to a shotgun look with 3 wide receivers. Guys pumps, he has nobody downfield, and he nearly has it picked off.
Well, the danger you run when you roll, the problem is when you're rolling out like this and you decide to throw back in off the boundary, you get into a lot of traffic. And that's what happens here. He gets to the side. He's, you know, they do a good job of rolling away from, he's going to roll away from a blitz. And you're going to see Thompson come up the middle, but there's a blitz on the outside. Now, when he decides to throw this back inside from the boundary, a lot of trees, and there's one of those big trees. Brandon Smith gets his hand up and blocks that down. If you're going to roll, you got to throw it towards the boundary so it goes out of bounds, not back in where everybody's pursuing.
Smith has been a playmaker for Western Kentucky. Remember, he's a guy who just transferred in from Missouri.
Well, they said he's just learning, but give him time.
Poole gets another punt off. Eastern Kentucky gets a great roll inside the 35, inside the 30. And it will finally roll out of bounds. So Eastern Kentucky doesn't move the football, but they pin Western back inside their 30. Matt Geis being tended to by the training staff on the Eastern Kentucky University sideline. He has taken some pops from Western Kentucky all night.
See, he's trying to shake out that right shoulder of his. And he lands awkwardly on it. When it's out like that, you can get into a lot of injury situations where you land awkwardly when it's kind of pushed out and it pops it up in there. You can see he's trying to tell him, listen, I can hold my hands above my head, I can touch my toes, and I can throw.
Adam Ellis, the backup, transfer from Air Force, getting ready. It's Western Kentucky football, though, and it's Baron Moore running it on first down. Well, Matt Geis, the Eastern Kentucky quarterback on the sideline, is the son of Jim Geis, who was an All-American quarterback for Eastern Kentucky in the 60s. In the 1968 game against Western Kentucky, he was knocked out in the first half, came back, and led the Colonels to a 16-7 victory. Matt said his father certainly told him that story, especially after his son was knocked out of the game against Central Michigan with a slight concussion. And we'll see if he can do the same. Maybe stay in the game and lead his team to a come-from-behind win. Ellis has the helmet on, though. It's Western with a 10-point lead, and it's the freshman quarterback, Justin Haddix.
Well, you know, you talk to the coaches, T.J. Weiss, the offensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, said, you know what I like about Haddix? He just came in, he's a big, raw country boy, but, you know, just kind of a stud. He's solid, unflappable under pressure.
Third down, Moore gets the handoff, but he doesn't get the first down.
Well, we're seeing that with Haddix today. He's making the decisions. You know, he's only had 1 or 2 questionable. That was a big stop for Eastern Kentucky's defense.
Western now just 4 of 11 on third down. Haddix wanted to put a drive together, but he'll have to run over to the sideline.
Remember, the #1 goal in any game is field position, and by holding them there, they allow themselves on this punt, if they get any type of return, to win the field position battle. And that bodes well if they're trying to get a score on before this quarter ends.
Claiborne just does give it away, and he gets away a mortar shot. Perkins makes the grab, but he backs up as he's catching it, and he pays for it.
And there's a perfect example of why you don't field a punt inside the 10. That was such a bullet. That's going into the end zone. You get the ball at the 20. Now, your offense is starting on the 6 instead of the 20. And there goes any type of field position we talked today just won.
Eastern Kentucky gets the football down 10 in the Battle of the Bluegrass on CSTV Football Saturday. Ten-point advantage for Western Kentucky on Eastern Kentucky in the Battle of the Bluegrass. Next week, the Battle of the Blue Hens against the Hofstra Pride as 8th-ranked Delaware goes to Hempstead, New York. We'll bring that to you on CSTV's Football Saturday next week. Hofstra losing today to James Madison. Delaware rolling Westchester. So battle of an unbeaten team Delaware and a winless team Hofstra coming up next week on CSTV Football Saturday. Here it's been as tight and as physical and as emotional as we expected between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky. Incomplete pass going to the tight end out of the end zone.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how long they stick with Matt Geis in this situation. How long will they allow him to throw the ball? If he has troubles, will they get him out of there? Or, you know, then again, the other thing is, what do you do if you get him out of there and he's not hurt? Now you've hurt his confidence. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle this quarterback situation right now.
Well, they have announced a crowd of over 18,000, which would be more than capacity here at Smith Stadium. They say capacity is 17,500, but a few folks standing around the end zones and around on the other side of the stadium, so over 18,000. Watching this one. Geis on second down leaves it high. He's made 2 errant passes. Do you think the shoulder's bothering him?
Well, it's hard to tell. One is a rollout to his left, so he has to throw across his body. That's a tough throw to make anyways. And this is a drop back with a blitzer coming into his tight end's face, so he's got to get it up over him. I think it'll be more telling if we see a guy who's wide open and he doesn't hit him. But I think right now, no, there's no reason to take to be concerned about his accuracy.
Eastern Kentucky just 2 of 8 on 3rd downs today.
But that can change.
Choosing to run it on 3rd down and 10, not wanting to have a big interception in the 3rd turnover of the day. Eastern Kentucky just hands it off right at the middle, and now they have a tough special team situation trying to punt from their own end zone. Bill Cool to punt, standing back at his own end zone with Beals returning at the 40. Cool gets the kick away, but off the side of his foot a bit. Beals makes the grab, a chance for a return up the middle, but only to the 40. Just a 6-yard return by Antonio Beals. Told you about the target that Western Kentucky. We showed that to you. So it has been key for Dave Elson's seniors to try to set the tone of coming back from that championship.
And I think that's, you know, something we're going to count on, and the strength of this football team is the experience that we have from going through what we did last year and fighting through some adversity when we were 2-3, and then getting on a 10-game winning streak and winning some close games in the 4th quarter, and then, you know, going on the road, or the 2 weeks there in the playoffs, being at Western Illinois, at Georgia Southern, beating 3-2-1 all in a row. I mean, there's some good experience gained from that for the guys that we have returning.
It was an amazing run to that championship, Western Kentucky, when Dave Elson was the defensive coordinator last year. They started 2-3, then won 10 straight games, beating the 3rd-ranked team, the 2nd-ranked team, and the top-ranked team to take the 1AA national championship. So it was really a dramatic, maybe a Cinderella run to the national title for the Hilltoppers. Haddox rolling out, firing a good pass. Rooney catches it for a first down near the 21. Probably the best ball we've seen from Justin Haddox today.
Yeah, you can see his confidence growing. He's got a lead. The coaches are allowing him to make some throws. He throws a quick out on one side. This is a great play action. This is a kid who, when you watch him, you understand that he understands football. He puts this ball down on his side. It's a very casual fake. It's not hurried. It's not over dramatic. And he put that ball on a line to where it had to be.
This time last year, Justin Haddox was playing high school football, and now he's in the spotlight in a big rivalry game. He's 6 of 11 passing. And he hands off the football to LaRon Moore inside the 5.
LaRon showing that explosion, and you wonder if Eastern Kentucky's defense is not beginning to tire. They've been on the field quite a bit this game. Western Kentucky has done a very good job blocking, and their offensive line is good. And then when you have a guy like Joe Washington pulling around here, bam, look at that big hit. That's a big hole when you don't see anybody else in the screen. See, that's a big hole, and you got a small, fast guy like that, he's getting yards.
Western Kentucky trying to punch it in now. 1st and goal, Moore around the end, touchdown, Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers score the first 9 points of the 2nd half to take a decisive lead, now 19-3 on the Eastern Kentucky Colonels.
That's good. That was a very well-balanced attack throughout that entire drive by Western Kentucky. A couple of short passes, some play action, and some good runs. They were very balanced yet aggressive, not trying to be tricky, but being aggressive. And there is a big difference.
Lang gets the extra point, 20-3, Western Kentucky on Eastern Kentucky. Both of the Hilltoppers scores have been rushing touchdowns, one from Haddox and now one from Moore.
Great blocking up front. Maurice Bradley with a pullback, big block, and the speed of Moore tells there.
Gets around the end, the Columbus, Ohio native.
And of course, Oakley coming around actually picks up 2 there. So Bradley has an easy block on 1, and that's why this, again, we'll talk about, oh my goodness, that's getting jiggy, or jiggly, or I don't know. Wow.
Both. Time to check in again with the CSTV Fieldhouse and Mike Crispino.
Yep.
Kansas State losing today to Marshall, so they will likely topple out of the top 10. Much more coming up after the ball game on the CSTV Football Saturday scoreboard. The guys from the field house.
Well, Marshall's a pretty darn good team. They went into Tennessee and played the Volunteers very tough. They're up in Division I now, Division 1A team, and they've shown a lot of talent and the heart, and have been playing everybody tough. And you know, I don't think it's a big shock that they beat Kansas State. I think people in the know have thought Kansas State maybe was playing too soft a schedule and weren't as good as their ratings.
Claiborne to kick it away for Western Kentucky following the 4 touchdown to make it 20-3 Hilltoppers. Another good kickoff, but this one goes out of bounds. So bring it out to the 35. Coming up after tonight's game from the Fieldhouse in New York, join Mike Crispino, Aaron Taylor, and Scott Zolak for CSTV Football Saturday scoreboard. We'll get you updated on all the college football action with scores, highlights, news, and analysis. CSTV Football Saturday scoreboard immediately following the conclusion of today's game on CSTV, the new home of college sports. Eastern Kentucky has yet to get a first down in this half. As we near the end of the third quarter, the Colonels are going to have to put together some drives if they want to come back from a 17-point deficit.
And it's going to be hard with the way Western Kentucky's not only hitting their quarterback Geis, but the way they're running the ball effectively on offense. That eats up a lot of clock.
Geis from the shotgun. That pass is incomplete, intended for Barrett over the middle. Remember, this Eastern Kentucky team put up over 600 yards of offense a week ago in a loss to Central Michigan. 42-41 loss when they blew a big lead, a 20-point lead in the second half.
Now, I think, you know, what happened is in the first half, it was tighter and it was closer. Western Kentucky, Western Kentucky was getting their mettle tested. And then, because Eastern Kentucky's such a good team, Western Kentucky was getting really tested there, and now Western Kentucky is better and starting to move, it's starting to pull out a little bit.
Geis dumps it over the middle, picked off. Antonio Thomas, the strong safety, picks off Matt Geis.
Well, number one, you roll to your left. You have to reset your feet to throw back. Number two, don't throw back into or away from that boundary. He's going to come to his left a little. When he's running, this is hard. You got to reset your feet and never throw back into the field. That's why there's a pick. Talked about it earlier when he was rolling one way. He's a good quarterback. He knows this. Just a little too late. He's trying to make something happen.
Antonio Thomas has the only 2 interceptions of the year for Western Kentucky. Twice the Hilltoppers have gotten it off turnovers. Twice they have scored off turnovers. Now trying again from the 42. Play action. Haddix has the football and he's looking long. Throws it high in the air. That is caught for a touchdown. Casey Rooney on a 42-yard touchdown strike. There are 2 flags near the line of scrimmage. (26-3) Western on Eastern now. The touchdown will stand. Penalty was against Eastern Kentucky, so obviously the Hilltoppers decline it. Referee explaining to Brian Claiborne before he gets this hold down. He is the punter, but he's in there as the holder on the point after touchdown unit.
We have roughing the passer on the defense. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. We also have dead ball, personal foul, late hit on the defense. That penalty also will be assessed on the kickoff. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Well, now see, they'll assess both penalties because one happened during play and one was a dead ball, so they're both assessed against you. So that's a crusher is what that is. But more so is the fact that a duck was thrown up there. That was not the best ball in the world. And you got two guys down there, and the guy that shouldn't come up with it comes up with it. And, Coach Elson said, hey, this guy, he's solid. He's raw, he's country, but he just gets it done. And here it is, not the best ball in the world, but there's a touchdown for them. It's a good play, action. We're on more fakes. Everybody bites up. You see the defensive backfield bite up, and everybody's chasing now. And they're chasing that ball. You can see the receiver has to slow up for it. Two guys there. Somebody's got to turn around and make a play on that ball. The only guy to make a play is Casey Rooney. Get a late hit, and then we'll get a little roughing, and flags fly.
Justin Haddix with a touchdown strike to make it 27-3. Down to the sideline with Chris Miller.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. We found somebody that might know a little something about Western Kentucky football. 16 years, the all-time winningest coach, Jimmy Fikes, joins us. Unbelievable game out here tonight.
It's unbelievable. The excitement is just electric. Great football game.
You were telling me before, looking at 18,000 people in attendance. What makes the old ball coach happy?
It sure does. It thrills my heart to see the support that's come for this new coach and this new team that we've got in the national championship.
I'm interested to know, what was the pep talk yesterday? What'd you tell the team?
I told them that in big games like this, good players step forward. And I said, back when I played, I had guys who stepped forward to make the big play. Somebody on this team got to step forward tomorrow to play, and they certainly have.
Coach Fikes was a player, he was the head coach, and he was also the AD. He did it all. He might want to get in the game a little bit later in the game. What do you think, Coach?
I believe they're too big.
All right, guys, back upstairs.
And they're playing on Jimmy Fikes Field here. He was a quarterback, and he told a bunch about 1950 Western Kentucky versus Eastern Kentucky game when he was the quarterback and won it on a last-second play.
Yeah, it's always emotional. I don't know how everybody feels, but as a player, I always like hearing from the older players, whether it was in college where we talked to some guys that played in the 50s. When it was being a history guy, I love that feel. It adds to the heritage and the feel of college football. And to me, that's what college football is, that history. And I loved hearing. I got goosebumps listening to him yesterday. We were fortunate enough to be able to listen to Coach Fikes tell us all that whole story. And it was I love that stuff. I think most of the players like it too.
This is going to be perhaps the shortest kickoff you've ever seen. Usually you kick from the 35. Great tradition here for Western Kentucky.
And you see that first. 2002. That's an accomplishment that the seniors on this team and the people that were part of that team overall will remember for the rest of their lives, winning a championship.
So this kick is going to be from the opponent's 35. This ball is spotted at the Eastern Kentucky 35, and Glenn, is this a situation where even though you're up 27-3, a short field, you might try an onside kick just to?
That's a good point, and you might do that, except that you don't want to show. My only concern would be, why show something that you might need later in the year against another opponent when it really counts? So my guess is he might try to kick this and see if he can put it into those tents on the outside of this field. See how far he can kick it. Maybe they're giving him a free rein to put it into a motorhome out there.
Might catch some tailgaters that snuck off early with the big lead.
That's right.
Get a jug of something out there in the parking lot.
And you were right, Carter. See that? Here's my concern with this, is later in the year, will that come back to haunt them when they've already shown an onside kick and how they run it?
And show that Claiborne recovering the onside kick. You don't see that a whole lot, but the ball went 10 yards. Claiborne fell right on top of it.
Well, there's two types of onside. One, you put, where we all know the lopsided one where you kick it way out and everybody gets to do it. And then there's this type where the guys rushing forward are your blockers so your kicker can get the ball. They've got the ball. They're already up by 24 points. Was this necessary? And will this spark some more rivalry next year? Oh, I bet it does.
That clip will be shown over and over before next year's Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky game.
And the officials right now are going to have to start thinking about watching the play of these players and how chippy it might get. I realize it's still the third quarter. You know, there's still a lot of football to play, but you're going to have to really keep an eye on guys getting chippy now, because that's the type of thing that'll start fights.
Haddix on second down, handoff to Moore. He scored the last Western Kentucky touchdown. And he is so quick coming through that hole. You can tell why they call him the change-up back, but he's almost become the featured tailback in this ball game because he's gotten through those holes so quickly, especially on the right side.
Well, we got a sense from talking to the coaches, now they didn't even say this, but we kind of got a sense that he is going to be taking more and more of the load as this year goes. He's a guy that can really play for him.
Talk about his second half team. That includes today. Moore trying to add to that number. 71-0 outscoring. The first 2 weeks, it was against non-Division I opponents in NAIA School Union, Division II West Virginia Tech. But I think the Hilltoppers are showing everybody in football that, well, they were ready for their rivalry game and they were ready to defend their national championship.
That stat is a product of having a big offensive line and a powerful running attack where you wear people out as the game goes on. And what we just saw happen here was a little bit of extracurricular activity. Someone got a little upset, someone took a shot, and they got the guy that responded, and that's Big Joe Washington. They responded, and they get themselves a dead ball penalty on sportsmanlike conduct. At least that's what it appears to be.
Joe's dad not only went to Eastern Kentucky, he played.
And I'm wondering if Joe has gone off the field. I'm wondering if the coach has brought him over to calm him down, or have the officials insisted that his presence is no longer needed.
After the unsportsmanlike penalty, no explanation forthcoming from the officials, but second down and long. There is a first down marker just shy of the goal line, so this is not officially second down and goal. Moore gets the handoff, hits that hole fast again, but it'll bring up third down. You think Western Kentucky's feeling it right now? Up 24 points. You got to be careful not to celebrate too much.
Well, yeah, so what do? Big Joe's out of there, and you've brought in your Tyrone Mareko. You run him on the power, and he's fresh. Let him pull. Let him go hit somebody. And now what do? Well, out comes Joe Washington comes back in the game, but Anthony Oakley now is gone, so they've moved Tyrone Mareko over to right guard. So we'll see if they pull him to the left this time.
Third down and 16. Play action. Haddix has it, and Haddix takes a couple of good pops, rolling out to the left. Field goal unit comes on, fourth down with Western Kentucky already up 24.
And I like Haddix's poise. You know, play action is something easy to be too over dramatic. You see, he just kind of very calmly now. Eastern Kentucky played it very well, but not for lack of a very good fake on the part of Haddix.
Kick is down, and Western Kentucky puts 3 more on the board. A 30-3 lead now for the Hilltoppers. Matt Lang 3 for 3, kicking for Dave Elson's team today. The third quarter has belonged to the Hilltoppers, now a 27-point lead on Eastern Kentucky. Glenn, if the Colonels are going to get back in this football game, they need some plays, and no better way to start it than on special teams. The first 3 weeks here on CSTV Football Saturday, we've seen special teams huge so far. And remember 2 weeks ago, Eastern Kentucky, the opening kickoff ran it back for a touchdown. Tremaine Perkins. That would be a shot right here at the end of the third quarter.
Well, one of the tricks when you're down like this as a team is your leaders step up, and whoever's talking to them say, hey, listen, you don't have to be a Superman. You don't have to be a hero. Do your job. Make your block. Take your steps. Whatever route you're supposed to run it right. And you know what? If we just do the back to basics, do the right things one person at a time, so we can get a score. And you know what? 30-10 sounds a lot better than 30-3. And it just kind of snowballs from there.
Western Kentucky hasn't given up points in the second half so far this year and hasn't given up a touchdown to anyone at any time this year.
Well, And it's obvious by the way they play. They have a lot of speed on their defense. They hit the quarterback. And they have a punishing ground attack on offense.
Perkins will return it. Tries to take it up the middle and gets back to the 25.
13-yard return by number 23, Jermaine Perkins. Brought down by number 20, Jeremy Chandler.
So Perkins doesn't get much of a return, but he brings it out to the 25.
Well, that's a start. You know, that's what I said. You just do. Each guy does his job a little bit at a time, and you know.
Yet Eastern Kentucky still doesn't have a first down in the second half. Trailing now by 27. It's Geis in the shotgun. Now this can be a high-powered offense when it's clicking.
What they have to do is they have to decide that the blitz is not going to dictate what they do now. When you're tight and you're in a game like this, you work around the blitz. You know, you keep a tight end and you do these things. Well, now maybe it's smartest they're going to go to a spread or what they call ace formation. A spread is 4 wide receivers and an ace, a tight end with maybe a back and the rest out there. You know, however you want to label it, but what you want to do is get as many receivers into the game as possible, spread it out, start throwing the ball, get it down the field, let guys make the right decisions.
Western Kentucky has dominated this second half in this third quarter. Now under 20 seconds left in the quarter. Eastern Kentucky trying to put something together. Movement on the line. Here comes the flag. So a free play for Geis. He's going to scramble. He's going to take another hit, but he picks up the first down.
So you wonder how free is it when you take a hit?
Clock stops with 7 seconds while they await the word on the penalty.
Offsides on the defense.
Take it so we get the clock stopped.
You heard the Eastern Kentucky guys say decline, so they want the first down. And Geis wants to get off one more play before the end of the third quarter. A little bit of a look of despair on the Eastern Kentucky sideline as we approach the fourth. And the Colonels trail their arch rivals from across the state by 27 points. Clock is rolling, 1 second. And Eastern Kentucky doesn't get off the play they wanted to before the end of the third. So we head to the fourth quarter with Western Kentucky up 30-3. Kentucky's 5th largest city is Bowling Green. We're on the campus of Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. A 27-point lead for the hometown Hilltoppers, the defending 1AA national champs. Carter Blackburn with Glenn Parker. Chris Miller is on the sideline. Our entire CSTV Football Saturday crew here in southwestern Kentucky. This is a free play, the last play of the third quarter. I'll explain why here in a moment. Guy shotgun, so the clock doesn't move. Dice is going to throw it, and Evans gets hit hard, and he doesn't make the grab. Glenn, tell us why that was the last play of the third quarter.
Because a quarter cannot end on a penalty. So, as that was a penalty and offsides call, it's a free play. Now they will switch sides. There will be no break on the quarter, and away we go. So actually the quarter ends, but yet you don't change because that's the way the rule is. It's one of those freaky little rules.
And now they restore the 5 seconds back on the clock. They took a few off, but
they
the official on the box quickly corrected that.
Figured out the rule.
So this will be a second down play coming up for Eastern Kentucky after that incompletion. Eastern Kentucky, 2 national championships in its history at 1AA, 1979 when Danny Hope was an offensive lineman, and then again in 1982. They went to the championship game 4 straight times. And yet they've missed the playoffs the last 5 years. Danny Hope brought in to replace the legendary Roy Kidd as head coach. And even though this team is 1-2, they have been a pretty good football team to start 2003. Obviously down 27 in this game, but showed a lot of promise. Geis over the middle, complete to Barrett into Western Kentucky territory. Barrett, the A-back, has been featured prominently in Eastern Kentucky's offense tonight.
Oh, and they're going to be running it looks like almost a muddle huddle. Get in quick, call, get to the line. Not really a no huddle, but what you call muddle huddle. Everybody kind of gets there, gets it and goes. Keep a hurry up pace to it.
Cardinals playing against Western Kentucky, and the clock now down 27 at the start of the 4th. Geis, the transfer from UMass, in the shotgun. Pressure coming. Geis will throw it, and he will complete to Trey Evans. One of the few times that he's gotten a pass off with pressure, and another penalty flag right near midfield where Geis got hit yet again.
A good job of avoiding the rush by tucking it and stepping to his left. And then a very poised throw downfield.
Walking gingerly again, though. Geis wants to stay in this football game. He hasn't seen the end of the first 3 of the season against Bowling Green, Appalachian State, and Central Michigan. We'll get the explanation, but the penalty will be against Western Kentucky. Costly penalty by Western Kentucky. It's a good crowd out here to watch Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky. Roughing the passer, the call. That takes Eastern Kentucky into the red zone now. Pitch to Ennis around the right side. Inside the 15, but he's forced out of bounds. Let's check in with Mike at the CSTV Fieldhouse. Michigan State with that big win, Glenn. The Big Ten is just rolling right now in those out-of-conference matchups, aren't they?
Well, except for that Michigan and Pac-10 territory.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that Pac-10 game.
Yeah, you know, it happens. Very tough for teams from back east. They don't like to travel out west. They don't do it very often, and when they do, they end up getting a little spanking. And sometimes, you know, the Pac-10's a much maligned conference in a very tough place to go play, as Michigan found out.
Evans forced out of bounds, but he gets the first down, and he gets down to the 5-yard line.
Well, Geis makes a nice throw there by putting it on a deep out from the opposite hash mark, which is a tough throw in anyone's book, and he gets it there.
First and goal, Eastern Kentucky trying to become the first team to score in the second half against the Hilltopper defense this year.
Well, Eastern Kentucky's certainly not mailing it in, that's for sure.
C.J. Hudson looks like he wants to throw the football, but it's a busted play. Western defenses it very well.
Now, you know, Burt's, the quarterback, stays in his position and covers the quarterback on the throwback. And you got to credit Hudson. Smart play. Doesn't throw it. Geis is going to pitch to Hudson. Hudson's going to look back, and he sees that he's covered. And he's, well, all right, here I go. And he takes, you know, it's a smart play by not throwing it. He sees the coverage, but you'd ask yourself, they passed the ball effectively down to this position, and they've run the ball and now run this play. Why? Why not throw the ball when you know guys can put it in there for you?
Makes it second and goal from the 10. Geis in the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Back to the run and shoot type offense, and Geis overthrows Trey Evans. So that brings up third down and goal. And seems like that play kind of takes the momentum away from you. You picked up the positive yardage, you get a busted play,
sure,
forces you back out to the 10.
That's right. Now, you know, it's a third down. It's goal. You take 2 shots, obviously, and you got to get your points on, and 3 is not going to help you. So you're going to take 2 shots here and hope you get the, well, not hope, you obviously plan on getting a score.
Same 4-wide formation. Geis in the shotgun on third down and goal. Blitz coming. Geis slips away from it somehow, but he won't get away the second time. Brandon Smith finally got to the quarterback. There is a penalty flag down.
And we see the pressure from Missouri transfer Smith there. Geis shows good body control and strength by getting out of it, but this is where he's got to decide, hey, I got to throw this ball away, because you're bringing yourself farther and farther away from your objective. And for what? Now, they're going to kick a field goal here, and once again, I'll ask for what?
Holding is the call on Eastern Kentucky, so that forces him into a field goal situation. 39-yard attempt by Stephen Swan.
Swan try a 39-yard field goal.
Chip Franklin to hold. He's a backup quarterback. No good.
And will that be Eastern Kentucky's swan song?
Or will they have hope? 30-3, Western Kentucky leading, and the Hilltoppers get the football. The third-ranked defending national champ, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, proving that they were ready to roll, ready to defend their championship. But here is where it gets really tough for this team, because at Auburn, at Western Illinois, 4 of the next 5 are on the road. And after a slow start with Union, an NAIA school, and West Virginia Tech. Yes, there is a West Virginia Tech.
Well, I think that, you know, if you're Western Kentucky coaches right now, you're thinking to yourself, well, we faced our first real test, and we've done well. And now our guy, Paddox, is going to get a chance to throw the ball a little bit.
Throwing on first down.
But you say, Coach Elson says, well, we tested ourselves, we went out, and you know what, we met the test. Now, on the flip side of that, you ask yourself, for Coach Hope, what do you do? How do you regroup? You've had a couple of tough losses, now a blowout on a rivalry. You know, you use this. You say, okay, we had trouble, we didn't respond against Central Michigan, and now we can judge ourselves by the Division I AA national champions and find out just where we're at.
More push back, so that brings up third down. Western Kentucky was averaging an ungodly 59-3 average score through the first 2 weeks. Now, those numbers were way off considering the level of the opponents, but they've gone out and now they're up 30-3 against their rival, against a good 1AA team in the fourth quarter. So they have proved that those numbers were no fluke in the first couple of weeks.
That's right. I think you're absolutely right. They were untested. They played an NAIA school, a small Division II school, and now have come back strong and battled through a first half that was tight, and then regrouped and came out and dominated in the second half.
Let's check in with Mike Crispino at the CSTV Fieldhouse. Claiborne does a good job of getting that punt away. It bounced to him, and now it bounces inside the 20-yard line. Western will down it at the 7-yard line. Well, this is certainly the best rivalry football-wise in Kentucky. Most of the folks around Bowling Green and Richmond would tell you, between these two 1AA programs. And we heard from Jim Tenera, the defensive coordinator for Eastern Kentucky, who coached under Bear Bryant. There's Coach Tenera. Won 2 national championships at Alabama, and believe it or not, he said that this rivalry was nearly or just as intense as the Auburn-Alabama rivalry, and that was really during the heyday.
You know, the mistake we make, I think, as fans across the board, is we always think, well, a bigger school or better ranked teams makes for a better rivalry. Rivalry has to do with history and situations and geography, much more than it has to do with how good somebody is.
Barrett took a huge hit over the middle. Tremaine Perkins, the cornerback, lays it on him. And Barrett has not gotten up yet. Down 27 points. This game is getting only worse for Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, Carl Burt's, the DB that laid that shot, is a quiet guy on defense, but a great cover guy.
Number 23, Carl Burt's on the tackle.
I don't know, he didn't seem quiet on that one.
And let me correct myself, it was Carl Burtz who makes that tackle, the cornerback, rather than Perkins, who's on the other side of the football. Western Kentucky up 30-3. Jeff Barrett not yet on his feet with his Eastern Kentucky team trailing 30-3. He has sat up though. He doesn't want to relive this, but Carl Burtz, who delivered this hit, probably does. Take a listen. And listen to the crowd reaction.
That's why they watch football, to see the hits.
Barrett, the leading receiver for Eastern Kentucky tonight, so he does walk off the field. And now his Colonel teammates will try to put a drive together with just over 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. And the rivalry game between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky, the 80th meeting between these two schools. And it's been all Hilltoppers, 30-3. Eastern just really going spread offense now with their inability to run the football. More hits being delivered by this Western Kentucky defense. Flags flying, Glenn, as you said. In a 27-point game among rivals in the fourth quarter, it can get very physical.
Well, that's right. If you're going to blitz the quarterback, you're going to hit him. And now what's going to happen? You're going to big guys on the offensive line get upset and take shots. And
that's Larry Turner, the center for Eastern Kentucky. And he has been thrown out of the football game. The senior center has been thrown out.
I saw this play, and I didn't look bad enough to eject the guy over, but, the referee is trying to take control of this game. He knows he's got his hands full right now.
Danny Hope wants a full explanation. He waves Larry Turner away, but he wants to hear it himself. Coach Hope disagrees, but Larry Turner, his All-America center, will exit the game nonetheless.
Well, we're going to look at it here. You're going to watch number 77 come in here on top of the pile, and he's going to just block a guy and get a shot in. I don't know, is that worth throwing a guy out of the game for? He's upset. They're piling on his quarterback. He got guys jumping all over his quarterback. And what this whole thing is, the referees don't want this game to get out of control, so they're getting him out. As an offensive lineman, I say, hey, it's always the offensive lineman get thrown out. How come?
5 sacks given up tonight by the Eastern Kentucky offensive line. Geis goes under center at his 6th. Second down and 24 after that personal foul was assessed. C.J. Hudson forced out of bounds and into the Western Kentucky sideline. Getting rough over there, as you might imagine. The officials quick to separate the teams and calm everybody down. Well, if you're an Eastern Kentucky fan or a Western Kentucky fan, you can log on right now to CSTV.com and check out CSTV's Slog, the first ever all-college sports blog where you can share your opinion, comments, and reactions to the latest news and highlights in the world of college sports. Log on and slog it out, all on CSTV.com. We've given you some of our opinions on the games today and on this one, so now you can get your chance on the first ever Slog at CSTV.com.
Coach Hope talking to his center, saying, be a little smarter than that.
Third and long. Geis roll out from the shotgun. Picked off. Second interception thrown by Geis. It's Eric Danny, the inside linebacker, with his first interception of the year, and he got it on his fanny.
Well, Eric Danny, an All-American, does a very good job of just setting back under, and he kind of gets lost in here. And Geis has to remember, you're going to throw back into the middle. And when I say middle, it's kind of the flats, but it's in the middle. There's linebackers bunches, so you got to throw it a little deeper. And what he'll do is he's going to step short, looking for this quick out, and he never saw Danny come back from the inside. Danny just hung back inside, then came back out real quick to make that play.
Eastern Kentucky takes over again at the 20 after that interception. Well, that one could have been picked off as it went off Maurice Bradley's hand, the fullback.
Coach Hope not happy, obviously. 4 turnovers, resulting in a lot of points against his team.
That is an amazing streak through 2 3/4 and now into the 4th game for Western Kentucky. They haven't given up any second half points.
That's right. They've been very good. And you know who That defense is good. They blitz. They do all the right things, and Coach Martindale has them playing well. But I'll tell you, the dominance of this offensive line is what is really the strength of this team. As much as we talk about the corners being able to cover and all that, this offensive line has driven the ball when they had to, protected when they had to. Of course, I'm an offensive lineman, and I like them. But, you know, Buster Ashley, Joe Washington, Anthony Oakley, Daniel Withrow, that's the group up front. And let's not forget the center who makes everything tick, and that's Ryan Thomas. Ryan Thomas has done a great job of making the proper calls and getting everybody in the right spot. Ryan's an Orchard Park native. Orchard Park is where the Buffalo Bills play their home games.
So where Glenn Parker's been. Some formative years in the NFL playing for the Bills. Four-time AFC champion, Glenn Parker.
That's right.
Moore gets the handoff on 3rd down, so another field goal situation coming up for Western Kentucky. Matt Lang has been perfect on the day, and he will likely get another crack here. This one from 31 yards, right in the middle of the field, so it should be a good kick for Matt Lang. He's not only been perfect tonight, perfect on the season.
31-yard field goal attempt by Matt Lang.
More points on the board in the second half for Western Kentucky. Now a 30-point lead. 33-3. Hilltoppers on the Colonels from Eastern Kentucky. The final 8:05 coming up on CSTV's Football Saturday. Not a whole lot of spirit left on the Eastern Kentucky bench, trailing by 30 points. Those heads are starting to hang.
Well, you know, when you get so up for a game, you practice so hard, you put your soul into it, and this type of, you know, it's one thing if it's tight and you lose at the end and you're down a little bit, but boy, when you're getting beat like this at this point in the game, not much you can do, but you hold your head high, you go out and you play hard every play. That's how you keep from getting hurt. Injuries occur at this point in games because guys let off. They don't go full speed and they end up getting hurt.
It's been a couple of tough weeks for Eastern Kentucky. They blew a 20-point second half lead against Central Michigan a week ago, losing 42-41. So they come into their rivalry game with kind of a bitter taste in their mouths, and now here they are in the fourth quarter down 33-3. Ralston with a chance to return this one. Up across the 20, can't quite turn the corner, gets out to the 27. Down to the sideline for Chris Miller.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Here's an interesting note about Western Kentucky's football program. It nearly folded in 1992, if not for one vote from the university's Board of Regents. That one vote, ironically, came from the student body president, who says the student's opinion never counts. Something very interesting, guys. You think 10 years ago, or 10 years from that, you could have never won the national championship. Back upstairs.
And they had to compete with reduced scholarships for a few years as well. The school was in a budget crisis. They had to nearly drop the football program. They dropped the scholarship level, but Coach Fikes, who was athletic director at the time, was part of rallying. In fact, he took 2 votes. One was to eliminate football. The Board of Regents decided to vote again, and by a 5-4 margin, the football program survived, and it's been a big reason why the entire university has undergone a rebirth in the past few years.
Well, yeah, I think they were trying to, they were going to focus a little more on basketball. They were doing pretty well as a basketball team. And you know what? I love the fact that student body president did it. They ought to find that guy and buy him a steak dinner.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Play action. Geis gets hit again. Another incomplete pass. Mike Woolridge, the tight end, rolling out. Matt Geis has to be tired of being hit at this point in the ball game. He's just kind of on the ropes at this point.
Yeah, you know, he gets hit and he runs 10, 15 yards from where he got hit sometimes. I get tired just doing that.
Kind of like Jake LaMotta at this point, just kind of putting the arms on the ropes.
That's right. You never knock
your
me
hits.
down.
You want to stay in the ball game, and that's what Matt Geis said. I know that Western Kentucky was trying to put some pops on me, trying to sideline me, but I want to stick around for the last 7:14 in this game. 3rd down. Ralston bobbles it, but he makes the grab. That's sticking with the football, and Ralston has a few words for the DBs trying to take it away from him.
Well, what you see why Ralston has had such a good year so far. He's focused, and what he does is he's going to sit down in a little zone here right behind the linebacker. You see the linebacker's trying to catch up, but the focus staying on that ball, you know, that's why he makes the grabs. I don't like that. I don't like talking when you're down 30-3. You shut up and you get back to the huddle.
Ralston averaging 123 yards of receiving a game this year. But he's been mostly bottled up tonight along with the rest of Eastern Kentucky's offense. Geis trying to change that, looking long, batted down. What a play by Beals coming over from his free safety position to get in front of that football.
Yeah, when you throw the ball way deep down the middle third of this field, you got to be careful. Number one, there isn't a safety lurking like that, which probably should have been picked. Number two, you don't get your receiver killed by laying him out for a safety like that to come up and pop him good. So Geis at this point, I know he's tired, he's been popped a lot, he's been hit, and he's bounced around, but he's got to just be a little smarter and live to fight another day.
2nd down and 10 for the Colonels. Evans has it stripped away and thrown out of bounds. What a play by Jeremy Chandler. These defensive backs are showing off now for Western Kentucky. Well, this loss will hurt Eastern Kentucky, but now it's into play in the Ohio Valley Conference. Jacksonville State, Sanford Eastern Illinois. An in-state game at Murray State. So even though Eastern Kentucky will likely fall to 1-3, now is when you get into that conference play. And if you're going to get into the playoffs at the 1AA level, win your conference, get one of the 8 automatic bids, and then it's a new season.
That's right. And a loss like this doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't actually even tell on your season.
Guys had to get rid of that one, and we should use the example of Western Kentucky. Last year they start 2-3, they get on a roll, they get in the playoffs, they win the national championship. So even if you get off to a slow start at this level, 1AA football with the playoff system, you still have an awful lot to play for down the line.
That's right, and that's what makes it so much fun is you're not out of it. You don't mail it in after you've lost a couple of games. You don't run for the bus. You get out there, you play hard, and you've got a shot at winning it all.
Cool gets the punt away. Beals calling for a fair catch. And so Western Kentucky now with just 6:25 left on the clock and a 30-point advantage will get the football. Coming up after this game from the Fieldhouse in New York, join Mike Crispino, Aaron Taylor, and Scott Zolak for CSTV Football Saturday Scoreboard. We'll get you updated on all the college football action with scores, highlights, news, and analysis. CSTV Football Saturday Scoreboard immediately following the conclusion of today's game on CSTV, the new home of college sports. What a good-looking studio crew that is. Mike, Aaron, and Scott. I mean, just very handsome.
Well, Aaron steals his looks from me. He wants the bald look. He said Glenn Parker's a handsome fella, and I got to look like that, so he shaved himself up, and now it looks good.
What about his wardrobe?
That could use a little help, I think. I don't know. And I'm a sharp dresser. You never get to see it.
I saw it yesterday. I witnessed you shopping yesterday. Not surprisingly, Glenn Parker at an offensive lineman's size.
Yeah.
Shops at the
At a big and tall store.
big and tall store.
Except they're usually big or tall. They're never big and tall. And I'll explain that. You know, there's a lot of clothes in there that have a 54 waist and a 30 length.
Moore now over 100 yards on the game for Western Kentucky. The first 100-yard game of his career. The 16th consecutive game that Western Kentucky has rushed for the 151st. I don't know where I got the 16th from, but the 151st consecutive game with 100-plus rushing yards. A great streak, and Western Kentucky trying to run its overall winning streak to 13 games, which is a record for a school from the Gateway Conference.
And at this point, you have to wonder about the depth that Western Kentucky has at offensive line. They've got one backup in, and that's Tyrone Mareko. And other than that, they've still got all their starting offensive linemen in. With 5 minutes to go, you're up by 30 points. And now's the time you get your young guys in, get them some experience. Let them find out what it's all about out there.
And you still have Haddix, your true freshman quarterback, in there. And you know Eastern's going to be taking some shots after their quarterback has been hit all day. Play action, Haddix trying to sell it again. Drop pass by Bradley, and yet Haddix does in fact get hit.
You know, that was an amazing foresight on your part. They just smacked Haddix there. And you know, from what we've seen so far, we've been doing this bit. Is Western Kentucky, are they a national championship caliber team again? And that's, you know, it's interesting. We got a chance to see their stats against two lesser teams, but they play a pretty darn good Eastern Kentucky team here and really run them off the field.
Okay, allow me to put you on the spot. We've seen 4 games, 8 teams so far, actually 7 teams, Eastern Kentucky twice, but who is the best that we've seen so far on CSTV's Football Saturday?
Well, I think in a performance standard right now, it's got to be Western Kentucky. They are a very strong team, and that's why they are the defending national champions. And maybe Montana could give them a run for their money, but Western Kentucky has the vast majority of what you need to win their ball games. It's a dominating defense, great cover corners, the ability to blitz and attack the quarterback, and when you get the ball, the ability to hold it, to run time off the clock, and to dominate along the offensive line of scrimmage. And that's what their offensive line has done. Every one of those guys has played a very, very good game.
How hard is it to repeat as champions, really, at any level?
Well, I don't know. I never won one.
No, you won. You won AFC Championship.
Well, I won a lot of championships without winning a Super Bowl. That's true. And there's more speed again. He is he's an option guy they like to talk about. Get him the ball on the corner, but also as a changeup. And he's got himself a lot of yards today. And again, the coaches told us he's the guy that's going to touch the ball a lot. And as we said, we got the gist from them that he might be the guy that actually in the long term takes over this job.
Rivalry game now inside the 20. Does Western Kentucky try to pad those big numbers by punching it into the end zone against their rival, or do you kind of lay off at this point?
You'll just keep running the ball, I would assume.
2 tight ends. Moore goes right up the middle.
And that's not laying off, running the ball. Your offense is going to fire off the ball, all those things to keep themselves from getting hurt. And they want to dominate still. So it's not laying off. It's just not putting yourself at risk and not trying to pour it on.
130 rushing yards now for LaRon Moore. It will be 2nd down and 9. So if they punch it in running the football, you don't say that's running up the score at this point.
No, because you can't ask your guys not to play. But as I said, you're not going and running a trick play to try to get the score. You're not running a reverse. You're not running play action to throw it in the end zone. That'd be running it up. Simply running the ball and trying to punch it in is playing football and allowing your guys to play football and not get hurt. Here we get a look at that face on Mr. Moore. Gets the ball, knows he's going to take some shots. That's a great illustration right there of why football players are pretty darn tough. He knows he's going to get hit, and he just keeps taking those shots, and you think he'll be sore tomorrow. the next day, and the next day. He's taking his hits today.
Playing his first season of college football after redshirting last year. Roll out for Haddix, passing. And passing wide, nearly picked on 3rd down and 5. Now there is passing the football to the end zone.
They're pouring it on.
So now you think Eastern Kentucky can take some offense.
Well, yes, I do. Yeah, you know, hey, just run the ball. Run a play out, you know, right there, maybe run a rollout and throw for 5 yards. You don't need to throw for the end zone. You're up by 30. Now, you know, I know a lot of guys say you try to score constantly, but I think sportsmanship still has a place in this game, and that's a place where you didn't need to do it.
Matt Lang trying to remain perfect on the night and on the year. 30-yard kick is good. 36-3 now, Western Kentucky on Eastern Kentucky. 5 field goals breaking the Western Kentucky record. A career night for Matt Lang and the Hilltoppers. Just 2:27 away from the biggest win of David Elson's coaching career. He started 2-0, but this was the game that everybody around Bowling Green, Kentucky had circled. The now 32-year-old first-year head coach of Western Kentucky is going to get a lot of pats on the back for this win.
And he should. He coached a good game. He's got his kids playing to the level they should be playing at. You know, it's tough. You come in after a national championship game and you're a new coach. You've got to prove some things. People expect certain things out of you, and he's on his way to proving himself as a coach, and especially to his fans.
The field goal record for Matt Lang, 5 for 5 on the night. He remains perfect on the season. Nice kickoff effort again from Claiborne. So it's been a great kicking night for Western Kentucky.
Well, you know, never underestimate the importance of this guy. Claiborne has not only, kicked off the ball very well, put them in a position where they were always backed up, but his punting has been phenomenal. He has won the field position battle with his punting alone.
Adam Ellis will now come on to play quarterback for Eastern Kentucky. So Geis pulled with 2:27 left in the 4th quarter. Ellis, a lefty transfer from Air Force, has played in all 4 games so far for Eastern Kentucky. In fact, at the beginning of the year, they called him the 1A quarterback. Thought that he would play an awful lot. Hudson brought down for a 5-yard loss.
C.J. Hudson on the carry for the Colonels.
David Elson is standing on that Western Kentucky sideline where some very formidable coaches have been before. And he's done a great job in his first rivalry game. How about that list of head coaches?
There's a lot, you know, Jerry Glanville, Joe Bugle, of course, great professional coaches that we know. Tommy Protho, now there's a name that goes back for some of us. Romeo Cornell, of course, and Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh was an assistant coach to his father, Jack.
That's a lot of big-name coaches. And good coaches, for that matter, that have been over there.
Now, Western Kentucky does have some black in their uniform, so I wonder if in the Jerry Glanville days,
if he said, let's get him in black.
The Big Red wore black. I mean, why not? See some black stripes on those unis for Western Kentucky. Right down the side there. Western Kentucky. There we go. See, just flip it around. You can still be the Big Red.
And in their, if you'll recall, in their road jerseys have black stripes up over the shoulders. A lot more black on their road jerseys than they have in their home ones. So, and that was a very nice job that our director and producer found, getting us the shot of that stripe so we could prove that there was black in their jersey.
Very nice men, Peter and George. Under a minute left in the Battle of the Bluegrass that has been all Western Kentucky. They look like the defending 1AA national champions.
They really do, and as I said, you don't see, there's not a glaring weakness. If I had one thing, if I was a person who was really picky, I'd say, well, I wish their quarterback situation was a little more in hand with a guy that could throw the ball a little better. But you know what, Coach said, this is a big, raw, solid country kid who can play, and he certainly has proved.
He's a true freshman. By the time he gets to the playoffs, if they can get back, then he's a veteran.
That's right.
Cool will punt one more time for Eastern Kentucky. But Danny Hope says, just let the clock wind out. No use punting and playing another down of football. The final score is Western Kentucky 36, Eastern Kentucky 3. So in the 80th meeting of the Battle of the Bluegrass, the Hilltoppers win it, and their 13th win overall. The rivals shake hands and hug. Much more from Smith Stadium in Bowling Green, 36-3 the final. Third-ranked Western Kentucky runs its record to 3-0. Meanwhile, the Eastern Kentucky Colonels fall to 1-3 on the season. Let's check in with Chris Miller standing by on the field.
All right, guys, thanks a lot, Coach. Complete football game tonight. 20 of the 36 points came off turnovers. You talked about that going into halftime.
Yeah, turnovers are always big in any game you're going to play, and our guys did a great job of getting after them and getting the ball and then converting offensively when we needed to.
Was this a true measuring stick of your football team considering the two opponents you had prior?
Yeah, I think it gives us a good feel for where we're at. We're going to need to improve still, but Eastern's a good football team. They've shown that in previous weeks, so we feel good about where we're at right now.
Defensively, I'm sure the key was to get to guys early and often. You guys were very successful tonight.
Yeah, Don Martindale did a great job putting together a game plan, and the plan was to just keep coming after him, and our kids did a great job of stepping up and doing that.
36 points, not so bad, getting it ready to go to Auburn.
Hey, we'll take 36 anytime we can against Eastern Kentucky.
All right, Coach, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Guys, back upstairs.
First-year head coach with his first win in the Battle of the Bluegrass as Western Kentucky takes the rivalry game by a score of 36-3. For Glenn Parker, Chris Miller, and Iron Tires CSTV crew, I'm Carter Blackburn saying goodbye from Western Kentucky University. Once again, the final score 36-3 Western Kentucky on Eastern Kentucky. For more information on CSTV.com. This has been a presentation of CSTV College Sports Television, the new home of college sports. Now let's go to Mike Crispino at the CSTV Fieldhouse.